And hello there, new week, new blessings. Good morning and welcome to the AM show. I'm Emefa Akosiadati and I'm here with
Samuel Kojo Brace, and it's a wonderful morning, a week after we said goodbye to some 8 brilliant men who lost their lives in the service to the country. And the country says it's time we honor them. And that's why that particular funeral came off. And the president and the government have set up that particular fund to take care of their children. I guess that we all have to contribute in taking care of these wonderful children left behind by these wonderful men. But let's run you through how the day will go.
Absolutely. Once again, you're welcome to the AM show. We'll bring you some AM sports, bring you all the updates that you may have missed in sports. And a little later as well, news review right here. We'll bring you everything that's happening in and in front of the newspapers. And we'll have Victoria Bright, lawyer and entrepreneur, as well James Kabna Domfe, doctor, of course, CEO of Census, and Hamza Suhini, lawyer and member of the NDC Communications. They'll join us for the newspaper review. And a little later on Big Story, could you?
Well, as WASI 2025 kicks off on August 20, we will discuss preparations, security arrangement for candidates in conflict zones such as Boko, Nalerigu, and Nkwanta, and all other pertinent issues relating to that particular examination. John Kapi, who is head of public affairs at West African Examination Council, will be our guest.
As well, you may have seen some news, maybe on social media. You may have heard it just a little bit or a tad bit in the news. The New Patriotic Party say if whatever we have seen in the news is anything to go by, they have granted general amnesty to all suspended members and those facing disciplinary cases. What does this mean for the party? We're quite not sure about that, but we shall interrogate these issues and bring you some insights on that, Kujo.
Well, so remember that your thoughts are very much vital for the show. So join us with those thoughts of yours via phone and all our social media handles. It's time to begin the show with the AM News with Emefa Adati. Good morning and welcome.
You're watching the AM show. Time now to bring you some news updates. Now first, the Nkoswahema of Asamanta for Amasika has launched a tree planting exercise to reclaim degraded lands destroyed by illegal mining activities. She says her decision to take up these roles was influenced by the community's strong advocacy for environment, especially as farming hub, where water and agriculture remain central to survival. The following report has more.
In Asamantamfoy, the newly appointed Nkoswahema Ama Bimpoma I has taken on the challenge of reclaiming lands degraded by illegal mining through a tree planting initiative. Her decision to lead the project, she says, came after careful research into the community's needs, given the fact that the area has become a Galamsey hotspot. The tree planting project was not just about restoring the lands, but also about building awareness.
Without food, proper water, we won't survive. And too many of our lands have been damaged. And I saw that this community was trying their best to ensure that, they maintain, they are stewards of the land. So I saw that they were trying to maintain their stewardship. And so that encouraged me to, to come to a community like this. We did see some areas, for example, where the three rivers meet further down the road where Asamang comes together with another town. We saw the changes, and I've heard about the changes over time and saw how these rivers have been affected.
The chief of the area, Nana Osabere Makwamiko II, praised Ama Bimpoma I for her leadership in the reforestation initiative and pledged community support. He anticipates that the farmlands will be fully restored in 3 to 4 years, supporting agriculture and preserving resources for future generations.
She's started very well and keeps on doing what she has to do. Now that we are going into reforest the land, I think in about 3-4 years' time, everything will be okay with us. The farm could be used and everything will be in its order for us to use again.
General Secretary of Grassroots Future Alliance Foundation, Bernard Kwesi Boampong, emphasized the foundation's active role in environmental protection.
I'm very, very sure and then optimistic that the government of the day would partner with corporate bodies, institutional bodies, NGOs like the Grassroots Future Alliance, and then hit back against this national canker. And we can see results in no time.
A targeted plan is underway in Asaman Tamfoy to restore mining damaged lands through tree planting and sustainable farming. The tree planting project has so far received 1,000 seedlings out of an expected 3,000. With support from Zafia Arts, a group that blends creativity with advocacy, the initiative reached out to the community in a unique way. They walked through the mining-scarred sites, spoke to residents, and used storytelling to raise awareness, hoping that the initiative will bear results.
Also, political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asa Sansi, says the New Patriotic Party's decision to grant amnesty to suspended members risk undermining discipline within the party. His comments follow the NPP's decision to restore members who had been sanctioned or facing disciplinary proceedings after misconduct. According to him, while this move is a normal political process to foster unity and reconciliation within the party, aimed at boosting numbers, its risk embolden misconduct.
In politics, institutions count a lot. So one would have thought that if people go contrary to the rules of the game, you obviously have to walk them through the legal process, and at the end of the day, if they deserve sanction, you sanction them. But I also know that as part of constitutional processes, you can also grant amnesty, and just to tell them that go and sin no more. It's also within the framework of the law, because if you don't want to give punishment, you can give amnesty, and that is also normal. Remember, in politics, it's a game of numbers, so you always want to have the numbers at all times to support you. And that is why I'm sure they are doing that. But the downside of it is that when people are able to be giving such reprieve, there is always the tendency for others to emulate them and also do what others have done, and they expect that they will also be given amnesty. That is the difficulty about amnesty situations. But apart from that, it is normal and it's within the framework of every legal jurisdiction.
Away from the NPP, following the burial of the remaining victims of the Zena helicopter crash, a Thanksgiving service was held at Christ the King Catholic Parish in Accra in memory of Dr. Omane Boama and Squadron Leader Peter Bafemi Adala. Speaking at the service, Gender, Children and Social Protection Ministry assured that her ministry is ready to provide psychological support for bereaved families. My colleague Maxwell Aklobotu has more in this report.
It was a moment of deep reflection as government officials and family members of the late Edward Omane Boama and Squadron Leader Peter Bafemi Adala, who lost their lives in the tragic Z9 helicopter crash on August 6th, gathered at the Christ the King Catholic Parish in Accra for a Thanksgiving service. Acknowledging the deep emotional toll the devastating incident has inflicted on relatives of the fallen heroes, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Agnes Latte, assured that her ministry is ready to provide psychological support to the families.
Okay, so you realize that we do counseling, especially with the social welfare department, but as we continue to engage them and the need arises, we can suggest or recommend to them, whether with a social worker or with a psychologist. because this is not easy.
She further responded to questions on why a general national fund cannot be established to support all individuals who lose their lives in the line of duty. She says families may have varying needs and therefore require tailored support during such difficult moments.
It sounds laudable, but what I would say is that this cannot be a one-size-fits-all or a wholesale application. In the moments of grief and situations like this, every family and what they need, and so it should be a felt need that we intervene to assist. And so if one needs that kind of support, financial support, that should be able to be provided. If the other doesn't need it but needs a different kind of support based on what the situation is, the nation should be available and willing. And so we should do it case by case and then assess it.
She added that the recently passed Social Protection Bill will play a key role in coordinating social interventions across the country.
There's a thin line between being okay and then being vulnerable the next moment. And so when we have the systems and structures in place, well, organized, I believe that any of us who feel safe within the country, no matter what the situation that befalls us. And thankfully, we've been able to pass a social protection bill. And so when all of these is over and the president has sent his signature, we know that there's something to coordinate all of the social interventions in the country, and then people will feel safe to assess them as and when the need arises.
As families of the fallen heroes continue to grieve, the assurance for government institutions offers some comfort. But what will matter most is how swiftly these promises are translated into real, tangible support. Maxwell Aklobato's report, read to you.
A high-level forum involving farmers, traders, banks, industry regulators and insurance companies has been proffering solutions to address barriers in financial inclusion and social protection in Ghana. Organized by the Center for Social Justice under the Voice, Influence and Inclusive Development Project, the dialogue provided an opportunity to address concerns faced by informal sector. There's more in this report.
Demand for collaterals by banks, high interest rates, and high insurance premiums have been identified among challenges faced by the informal sector. Under the theme, Bridging the Gap, Financial Inclusion and Social Protection for Informal Sector Workers, the forum attracted women in agribusiness. Participants were exposed to new opportunities, such as digital platforms that connect farmers to ready markets for their produce. This, they say, will harness their potentials as they strive to access markets for their produce. One of them is Nice Christabel.
One thing that I've learned most, that I will extend that to my people, especially the women in my community there. Most of them are into farming. Yes, and I've learned that the government is coming to invest much into their business, the women doing farming as a low interest cost so that they can do the farming more.
Executive Director of CSJ, Professor Alexander Ansamenu, is optimistic about the prospects of the project.
What we are doing is part of an AVID project. An AVID project is basically looking at improving financial inclusion for informal sector people. We are cognizant of the fact that the ordinary woman in the market selling there might have gone for loans. They need collaterals. These are some of the things they told us. Even if we don't achieve anything, I am saying granted that we don't even achieve anything beyond here, we've created a platform for these two people to talk together.
He tells Joy News the ideas and proposed solutions at the forum will be put at the doorsteps of policy makers to create an enabling environment for the informal sector to thrive. The dialogue drew participants from the Ashanti, Eastern, Bono East and Ahafo regions.
Well, the countdown is on. Just 4 days to a massive demonstration that could bring the Amasaman and Sawam stretch to a standstill. Drivers say they've had enough of the dusty detours, the broken suspensions, and the endless wait for a road that could be under construction for years. The GPRTU and the GRTCC have given government a one-week ultimatum: drag the contractor back to site or face their wrath. Residents, equally frustrated, have pledged to join hands with the drivers. Together, they say the time for patience is over. My colleagues Michael Ashali and Anthony Menu were there and now report.
With each passing day, commuters and drivers are paying the price for government's inaction. Welcome to the Pokwase Insawam stretch, where driving is a nightmare for drivers and commuters, and where every bump feels like a gamble with your vehicle's safety. This stretch has been under construction for years, yet today, the contractor is nowhere in sight. The result? An obstacle course of potholes, forcing drivers to crawl bumper to bumper, twisting and turning just to stay on four wheels. On our visit, more than 20 vehicles were seen broken down in the middle of the road. Here lies another broken down car, and another, and another. Vehicles, both big, long, medium, or whatever size it is, at some point in their journey to Kumasi, have to at least run through this muddy water. A very difficult situation for many of them because they don't know what exactly under the surface of that water looks like. You may as well just call it the muddy pool of death, because I've counted not one, not two, but more than 3 vehicles in this section alone that are broken down. They haven't moved an inch in hours. The difficulty is that no help can come to you at this particular point in the middle of a muddy pool. Darko Foster was heading to the eastern region when his car skidded dangerously close to tipping over.
I didn't know where to pass. I lost traction. The next thing I realized, the vehicle was skidding, and there were people in the car.
Women form more than half of Ghana's agriculture workforce, yet they continue to face the biggest hurdles in the sector at the 2025 Miss Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Contest organized by the UCC School of Agriculture. The Associate Program Officer of TAGDEV 20 UCC, Dr. Zikiru Shaibu, called on government and stakeholders to break down barriers such as limited funding and land access, stressing that empowering women in agribusiness is key to Ghana's economic growth. Abigail Laisel in Nkrumah has more in this report.
The second edition of the Miss Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Contest on the theme Seeds of Innovation, Empowering Women in Agribusiness saw 7 young ladies contesting. Although women constitute about 52% of Ghana's agric labor force, the Associate Program Officer of TAGDEV 2.0 UCC, Dr. Zikiru Shaibu, noted challenges they face in the sector.
In Africa, women contribute 60 to 80% of the agriculture, and they play major roles in areas of food processing, retailing, and small-scale entrepreneurship. In Ghana, nearly 50% of women are in the agricultural labor force, and they contribute significantly to our production, to our processing, and marketing of our food. Yet, they face many barriers in accessing resources such as land, credit, technology, and leadership opportunities. If we could unleash the full potential of women in agriculture, Ghana's economy could grow by billions of cedis annually.
According to the Central Regional Director of the Department of Gender, Richlove Amamo, the contest aligns with Ghana's vision for agric transformation.
Agribusiness is not just an economic sector. It is a tool for resilience, a vehicle for innovation, and a pathway to sustainable development. Let us invest in it, support our young talents, and most importantly, ensure that women have equal access to the opportunities it offers.
In his address, the Central Regional Director of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Peter Omega, informed students completing from the UCC School of Agric this year about some opportunities in the sector.
We are encouraging you, when you completed your national service, quickly joined the farmer cooperatives for you to benefit from this.
The winner of the contest, Vincentia Kunamai Japan, called on stakeholders to support her winning idea.
With snail farming, a startup funding is very huge, which a student cannot get. And then also the grant that the Miss Agribusiness team is given cannot fund for the project. So I would urge the government and also the Ministry of Agriculture and the people in the snow industry to assist me so that I can start up with a huge and a brilliant project.
The contest, initiated by the UCC School of Agric, provides a platform for young women to showcase their innovative agribusiness ideas. From UCC, Abigail Lissol Nkoma reports for Joy News.
You're still watching the AM News. Time now to bring you some business updates. And guess who? Ahanta Pele is on standby with that.
Business updates now. And the World Bank has identified weak labor demand in Ghana's productive sectors as one of the major challenges to job creation, warning that it continues to limit economic opportunities for many workers. There's more in this report.
In its latest Ghana Economic Updates launched in Accra, the World Bank noted that high-quality job creation in higher productivity sectors, such as manufacturing and services, remain constrained. As a result, many workers are being pushed into lower productivity sectors and accepting low-quality jobs, leading to a shortage of mid-level employment opportunities. According to the report, Ghana has experienced minimal structural transformation over the past decade, with agriculture still employing a significant share of the workforce. However, the bank stressed that the agricultural sector often fails to offer the productivity and income worth needed to lift workers into some more sustainable livelihoods. The report called for targeted reforms to improve the business environment, strengthen infrastructure, and promote value addition in agriculture and industry. Such measures, the World Bank said, would help stimulate demand for labor in productive sectors and create better quality employment opportunities.
Well, the Mine Workers Union, the Mine Workers Union of the Trades Union Congress has expressed worry about the increasing cases of non-standard forms of employment in the mining sector. According to the union, as at the end of 2024, over 90% of the workforce in the mining sector are engaged in non-standard forms of employment, with standard employment sitting just about 10%. Jerry Ando is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union. He spoke at the union's National Executive Council meeting.
Comrade Chair, the current phenomenon where aspects of the mining business and jobs are found out at the least opportunity under cutthroat prices simply on the back of profit maximization must stop, since its arrangement continues to threaten and undermine the decent work agenda and impoverish our members. Astonishingly, this continues to happen at a time when the prevailing business environment is super favorable.
That's all in business updates, and that's how we end the AM News. Up next is AM Sports.
We'll bring you sports now on the AM show with me, Muftawo Nabila Abdullahi. About 13 countries have assembled in Ghana for the Africa Junior Weightlifting Championship. president of Ghana Weightlifting Federation, Shaibu, says that Ghana is committed to hosting a very memorable event.
We in Ghana are truly excited to host the 2025 African Junior and Youth Weightlifting Championships. We are truly honored to host this prestigious continental event here at Gamashi Hall, the Trust Emporium, a venue that symbolizes both Ghana's sporting heritage and our commitment to nurturing the champions of tomorrow. Mr. President, this championship is not only a platform for competition, it is a stage for inspiration. It is when the discipline, strength, and resilience of Africa's youth are showcased to the world. It is also an opportunity for cultural exchange. As host, Ghana is deeply committed to ensuring a memorable and successful championship. We have prepared with great care and dedication to provide an enjoyable experience. Make sure you enjoy yourselves. Both on and off the platform. To our young athletes, this is your time. Compete with courage, fairness, and passion. Remember that every lift you make contributes not only to your personal journey, but also to the future of African weightlifting. To our federation's partners and wider WFA family, we thank you. We thank you for trusting Ghana to host this important event. Together, we are building a stronger foundation for the development of weightlifting across Africa and ensuring that our youth have the opportunities to shine at continental and global levels. I invite all present to enjoy the championship, to celebrate the talents of our youth, and to witness the rising stars of African weightlifting. May these days and the days of this competition bring us closer together in unity, in friendship, and sporting excellence. Once again, Akwaba.
That's the president of Ghana Weightlifting Federation, Jerry Amesh Shaibu. Now to some football stories. Seasoned football analyst Kojo Adai-Mensah has urged the president of Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okreku, not to take advantage of the third-term limit extension by Congress. According to him, Kurt Okreku will be doing himself loads of good if he decides not to take advantage after pushing for Congress to accept a proposal that will ensure that the president of the football governing body goes for 3 terms instead of the 2 terms that was put together by the now defunct Normalization Committee.
Whole nation good. And the whole football fraternity good. If he even today discloses that we have pushed through this amendment, but I am not going to take advantage of it. Charlie Nat, can you imagine the respect this guy will have in the world? Can you imagine that nobody has done this anywhere in the world? Can you imagine Kurt Okreku coming out to say, I pushed a 3-year term amendment, but me, Kurt, I won't take advantage of it. Charlie, like when I see him, I'll crawl. I'll worship him. Kurt, I am advising you. I've been at. Don't what it does he need an extra 4 years for? What no, not come on me. Me kebafe. Me no ebafe ni ekfeko. Me no what will he do that he hasn't. Look, I can understand that his first 4 years was COVID, disrupted. So maybe he thinks that, no, coach, I could have done more. Charlie, this guy, please. Don't go for the extra 4. Kurt, read my lips. And I've said it to him. I've said it to Prosper. I've said it to everybody who care to listen to me. I don't have a problem with the 3 term. Mr. Kurt Okreku, you came in knowing that your term was 2 years. Two terms. You came in knowing that it was 8 years. You will be the most respected FA president of all time in Ghana. He will surpass Ben Kofi. You mentioned Ben Kofi. I'm telling you that Kurt will surpass Ben Kofi if he walks away and says, look, I've come and done what I can do in my 8 years. When I came, I knew I had 8 years. But I don't think 8 years is enough for an Ife president. Whoever comes after me, I am giving you an opportunity to do 12 years. So I've amended the statutes. Go. Hey! Not. It will be Bay.
Accra House of Oak defeated Heart of Lions by 2-0 in the Homowo Cup that was played at the Accra Sports Stadium on Sunday.
Paku with a ball in, chance for Atsabok, and that's the opening goal. Atsabok are up by 1-0. Debut goal for Duku. Frank Duku has opened his current account for the Phobians. The former Vision FC striker have tamed the Lions with his opening goal. It's Atsabok 1, Heart of Lions 0. Frank Duku the scorer.
Great goal, but then Heart of Lions failing to deal with the initial ball was where the problem started over there. And great thinking, the quick reaction over there, and you can see the Heart of
Lions giving it away cheaply, and Atsabok will turn the heat on the Lions. Here's Hamza Issa. Can he get a second? Hamza is racing towards goal. It's Hamza, and he's made it 2-0 for the Phobians. Hamza Issa with a pure poacher's finish. The composure, the calmness. Atsabok doubled their lead here at the Accra Sports Stadium. It's 40 minutes. Hearts 2, Hearts of Lions 0.
And you understand why the fans are loud. And Hamza Issa with a proper poacher's goal. Sprinting about, half the length of the pitch. Just look at that, onside there. Watches his back for a moment, and there's Aban rushing down. But then he calmly slots that one over there. Good ball from Paku over the top of that attacking defensive line of Heart of Lions. Just look at that. Aban did his best.
You're watching the AM show. Thank you for staying with us. The AM show is sponsored by Syntex Tanks. Ghana, let's talk water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right, the tortoise tank. Syntex Tanks is the champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle our Ghanaian weather, rain or shine. Syntex Tank has your back. So my people, go outside, check your tank, and if it doesn't have the tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex Tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. You can call 0244-335-168 to buy now or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex, strong, tough. Time now for the news review. A lot happening in Ghana over the weekend. It's a new weekend. It's just about time for us to dive straight into it. We have Victoria Bright, lawyer, an entrepreneur, and as well Dr. James Kabnat-Bonfair. I know a man who doesn't like to be called doctor, but he is CEO of Sensors, and Hamza Suhini, lawyer and member of the NDC communications team. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for joining us today on News Review. It's been quite an eventful last week for us through the weekend, quite sorrowful, quite difficult for us. But how are you all feeling the Monday after that burial? Maybe I'll start with you, Doc.
Well, thank you very much. We can only be grateful to our Maker for life and for health. And whatever situation we find ourselves in, we are asked or challenged to see in every obstacle an opportunity to improve on our condition. And I would say that as a country, within the last 1.5 weeks, we have seen a tragic event that has brought us together. It is my plea that we will learn to live with our differences in a diversity that would make us greater and stronger and more beautiful. Yesterday, and I think over the weekend, marked the celebration of the Homowo Festival among the Ghans. And as I reflected on it, it's like, how can we as a people bring to the fore some of these things that tell our story, that should show how resilient our forebears had been amidst the trials, amidst the temptations, amidst the difficulties, amidst their differences, to come up such that in our present day we can celebrate the times that led to the abundance of food. That for me is a task ahead of us, and we must all embrace that and move on.
That's a good way to start. Vicky, it was quite a sorrowful one for us on Friday. I mean, the whole of, from August 6th, we have not been a happy country, but it's the Monday after that. I see you're in white, Hamza is in white. That's quite refreshing as well. But tell me how you've been feeling over the weekend and this morning.
I think a little bit better than I was last week. I mean, it was devastating. Such fine gentlemen, you know, 8 fine gentlemen, just needlessly losing their lives like that. It was a shock to all of us. And I was saying last week that as I watched it, tears were just streaming from my eyes because it was just too much. So yes, we will recover, but their deaths cannot be in vain. And I think the whole nation is united on that resolve. I see the president is also determined to ensure that their lives were not lost in vain. They died for a cause that has become the bane, a nightmare that's terrorizing us as a nation. And we want to see decisive steps towards eradicating illegal mining in our society, our country. Children are drowning in open pits, policemen are drowning trying to chase them, journalists are being beaten up. You know, and these guys are actually challenging our security forces because they are also just as armed, which is shocking. I'm glad my brother mentioned the Homowo. I'm from Gamashi, so that was our Homowo. So I was with family and friends over the weekend. And yes, it's a symbol of, you know, Homowo means we're literally hooting at hunger, for those who may not know. And it symbolizes the resilience and unity and the enduring identity of the Ghana state. And so, yeah, at times like this, we are brought together. I mean, I normally invite friends who are not Ghans to come and celebrate, you know, so it's a symbol of togetherness and, you know, and resilience, and yeah.
Right, Hamza, whilst you're sharing your thoughts with us from last week's devastation or last 2 weeks' devastation, you want to as well tell us what has your attention in the news. You want to start with that as well?
Good morning to you once again, and my own big brother, Dr. Kabila, and Senior Counsel Victoria Bright, and of course your production team and our cherished viewers out there. Like Senior Counsel indicated, it has been quite a very difficult week. The trauma is just difficult to explain, and this is us, citizens of the Republic of Ghana, so one can only begin to imagine what the direct family members are going through. And for me, though the funerals are over, I think I have said this on many other platforms, my headache has to do with that constant show of support and love to the family. Because in truth, this is the time they are going to feel the impact of the loss. No financial compensation can make up for the emotional trauma they are likely to encounter, because the funerals are over. Those who used to troop to their various homes to give them that support, show that solidarity, the numbers would begin to come down. The reality of the loss will hit them harder than they anticipated. And that is the reason why I feel the minister responsible for health, the Honorable Akando, should continue his work. It is important for us to get in touch with psychologists, those who can continue to be in touch with them to provide them with that medical assistance to go through that emotional trauma.
Okay.
Because whichever way we look at it, this is going to be the time they would endure it. And for me, that is my headache. Many of us who have lost our parents, we understand how that pain is.
Does it make you feel any better as the Ministry of Gender, Children Protection have also offered that they're happy to provide psychological help for the families?
I think that it must be done in collaboration with the minister responsible for health.
Okay.
You see, it is commendable, but they can do it in the collective. And for me, that is what I want to see.
Okay.
And those of us who are family members or friends, this is the time for us to continue to show up for them. It is not right for us to abandon them because the funerals are over. We must begin to make time, even if it is just 30 minutes, 1 hour. Go and let them see your presence. Let them know that indeed these fallen heroes of our country were loved, not just because they were members of a certain political party, but most importantly, they were gallant men and men who served our country dutifully. And the testimonies are quite clear. Many of them demonstrated incorruptibility in their public life. And that example should not be lost on those of us with the responsibility to lead now. And many of our young people out there who are aspiring to occupy the political space. That example is crucial for the development of our country. And I only hope and pray that in the collective, we can take advantage of these testimonies of incorruptibility and ensure that we begin to conscientize our young people to appreciate that when you are given the responsibility to lead in public office, it is not about how much wealth you can amass, but the most important thing is the integrity that you can leave behind when you are no more, so that people can give beautiful testimonies like we heard about the Honorable Omani and Honorable Dr. the late Murtala Mohammed. So it is important for us to emphasize on that example, because that is what this country appears to be lacking for years now. We must take advantage of it to once again conscientize our youth to be ready to occupy public offices in a manner that will be dignifying to all of us and protective of our meager public resources.
Very well said. What you have in front of your newspapers, let's start with you, Doc. What's in front of the newspaper that has your attention? It may not be in front of the newspaper, but, you know, may have seen something, heard something in the news. Obviously, and Doc, by the way, we have seen that there is a letter-headed NPP granting amnesty to some of its suspended members as well. And in the news, we have seen it's being discussed, the newspapers as well as also reporting it. You can start with that as well, start with what's in front of the newspaper.
So let me discuss what is in front of me.
Okay.
Return drip machines to RCCs. And this has to do with the not too long ago bought equipment for the district assemblies, that is metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies throughout the country, about 261 of them, I suppose. Yeah, and the allocation was done. So they're saying that they must be well coordinated. I think that's 1 year. And then the President Mahama on official visit to Japan and Singapore. I think those are the two major stories in front of the Daily Graphic.
Okay.
And they are of interest to me.
Okay. Maybe I should also take what's in front of Vicky's newspaper and then...
Yes, and before I talk about that, can I speak about... I want to talk about this DSTV fight.
Please, by all means.
Yes. I don't really understand what DSTV is doing, MultiChoice is doing, because as a company in Ghana, you have to work harmoniously with our regulators. They should take a leaf out of MTN's books, because MTN, being in the position it finds itself in, has always had to have a lot of communications with the various regulators, and they've done so peacefully, harmoniously, and it's worked for Ghana and it's worked for MTN. I don't know why MultiChoice feels it can take umbrage against our regulator, against the minister. I mean, from what we understand, maybe we don't have all the facts, but if it is the case that they are just blatantly disrespecting the minister and our regulators, then I have serious problems with that. I really do, as a Ghanaian, because I'm tired of people disrespecting us. I really am. So I hope that's not the case, but what we are hearing, and when you look at the comparisons that the minister puts out there, I mean, we really are being taken for a ride. You know, I'm a DSTV subscriber, and I'm happy to go without if it means that our dignity will be intact. So I don't know who their advisors are, and I know they're in the middle of some kind of sale situation with Canal Plus. I don't know whether it's just an investment or a takeover or a merger or whatever, but whatever it is, surely this cannot be a good thing for
doesn't make you feel any better knowing that the NCA is fining them a certain amount of money at any time that
well, yes, it does, because they are doing that, but that money is minuscule to them. I mean, the kind of money that they are making, I mean, yes, it's, you know, 10,000 cedis, right? Yeah. It's not dollars, so 10,000 cedis, yes. I mean, that is what they can do. That's what's within their remit, and they are doing that, and I'm glad they're doing that. In fact, the minister held off from doing that and gave them another deadline, and they still flouted it. So it's total disrespect. And I'm just baffled as to why they would want to do that. And I also heard the minister saying in an interview at Joy that he had read somewhere or heard somewhere that if you want to take Africans for a ride, come to Ghana. And I was shocked to hear that. You know, so that's not the kind of image we want to present for our nation. And, you know, we're happy to welcome everyone. Of course, we want foreign investors, we want businesses to thrive in Ghana, but just as Ghanaians have to respect the laws of other countries when we travel, or if we choose to set up businesses outside, it has to be the same the other way around. So MultiChoice, I don't know who your advisors are, but please, there's no need to fight the minister or the regulators. Just sit down with them and resolve it, whatever it is. You're not going to be the first business that has a difference with government. Just sit down and sort it out.
Okay. Okay.
And in terms of my newspapers,
absolutely.
I have the Daily Guide, okay, and there are about 4 key stories. Commonwealth lawyers, AG clash over Tokunu. Government sets up support fund for helicopter crash victims' children. And robbers steal £100 of gold in Rambo style. That's the main story. And then GTech chases Deputy Minister over professor title, and NPP grants amnesty to suspended members.
Okay. Hamza, what do you have in front of the papers?
The publisher, the Ghanaian publisher, right? Bate's NPP amnesty raises eyebrows, right?
Yes.
Deputy Health Minister, not a professor, GTech. Ghana bids farewell to crash victims. Awudu Mahama, the leader Print Park needs now. I think this one is campaigning. Then I also have the Business and Financial Times before me. GIPC engages diplomatic corps on new investment drive. First Bank appoints Usahon, is it Ojava, as deputy MD. ECD, new crypto rules expected to draw FDI.
Okay.
Only 250,000 jobs created for 2.7 million new workers in 10 years, World Bank report.
Okay. We'll start with you, Doc. You seem to have your full attention on the return of the drip machines to RCC. He's so fixated on it, I can't wait to hear you.
Well, you know, it brings to the fore attitude towards nation building and governance in general, and whether or not our policies are thought through and whether we are faithful to what we put down. These were about 2,240 units of road construction equipment that on 31st July 2024 were unveiled by former President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I think it was part of a process that had begun earlier, that assemblies should be able to have some of these machinery and to attend to certain things, I mean, in terms of road fixing, ahead of awarding contracts, or some may not even need major repair works. And don't forget, we have got public works departments in the various assemblies who are mandated to keep our roads, in good shape. So it was a good idea. It is a good idea, and if it is well done, we would benefit a lot from it. As to the framework of how it was going to operate, and the people, the personnel who are going to operate them, having been equipped with the necessary skill to man those machinery, I am not aware of how much training had been done. And I'm not surprised that there's a directive that equipments that are meant for the districts should come to regional pool. I'm not surprised because we are not faithful to decentralization. And our unfaithfulness and infidelity to our own laws with respect to decentralization is part of the major problems affecting this country. Why did we procure those items and apportion them according to districts if they are not to be maintained by the districts? If it's about capacity and competence to man them, what stopped us from recruiting people from these districts, train them, and deploy them to go and man them, whilst we maintain a team that will be going around from time to time with respect to maintenance and monitoring and evaluation to see to it that the equipment are used for the purpose for which they were bought? I believe some of these things can easily be reconciled if we are committed and faithful to...
I have a question though, Doc. Why is the Northern Regional Minister asking or warning? Because these are machines, and it's as though, oh, bring them back and we're sitting down. There's no other way than to issue a warning. These are machines that can be taken by force anyway.
You don't need to even take them by force. In agreement with what you're saying, these are appointees. They are in the hands of appointees of the state who work within a certain chain of command. Either the district chief executive, the district coordinating director, district whoever. They are all within the structure of our governance system. Do we need to be issuing these commands? You call. And people must obey. If people disobey, there are sanctions. You apply them. I mean, the point is that we just are not faithful to ourselves. Infidelity to the law, that is our problem. And you see, the law can be no better than the people who are called upon to obey or enforce it. Quoting Hubert Humphrey, 1965, in his book, Mankind is the Cause. And that is who we are. So I believe that we shouldn't be here where equipments were sent, we are calling the equipments back. What necessitated the call, the deployment in the first place? And who is derailing and delaying that, obedience to the response or to the order? So I think that we should be faithful. For me, if we are talking about decentralization, we should do it to the core.
Who makes it difficult for the implementation of decentralization? The people at the top or the people who are at the very level where the decentralization is supposed to be?
My little study of it is that it is across.
Okay.
It's across, you see. And in this case, I like to say that nobody is entirely blamable and nobody is entirely blameless. And that is why we must learn to live with our difference. And something that we took from, the opening remarks. You see that our departed brothers, all that we are saying about them is in the positive light. It's not as if they were saints or they were without blemish. But as a country, we chose that we will focus on the positive dimensions of their life in this period. And we can live with that. That will make us better. And that's what I want to implore all of us as Ghanaians.
Okay.
That let's be positive.
Okay. Vicky and Hamza, I don't know if you've been following this particular story and if you want to contribute to the return or the warning that the newly appointed regional drip coordinator should ensure that the district assemblies that are holding on to these machineries should return them by end of week. And Doc is citing challenges of decentralization. If you want to comment on it, you want, or you want to go to the other topics on the newspaper.
Yes. I think that I can understand the passion and the frustration associated with my brother's presentation on the matter. But MFA, I have not had the privilege of speaking with any of the actors involved. I have not spoken with the Northern Regional Minister, and I have not had the opportunity to speak with that of the regional coordinator. But what I know as a matter of fact is that at the national level, they are trying to take stock of all the equipment that were handed over to them.
Okay.
It does not mean that immediately that stage is done, they would not be handed over back to the various district assemblies, because if you were keen follower of the politics of the campaigns that characterize the drip machines, somewhere November 2024, one of the major issues that the NDC raised had to do with the politicization of its usage, where we saw parliamentary candidates of the New Patriotic Party suddenly using it with their pictures or posters embossed on these machines, and we raised concerns. So when we came into office, there were reports as to the availability or whereabouts of most of them. And one way to ensure accountability is for the National Secretariat to take stock of the equipment on the ground. That is what I know is going on.
Okay.
And so if there are districts that are quite reluctant in more or less bringing the equipment to the Regional Coordinating Council, it simply means that what they need to do is to go back to these districts to ensure whether indeed the equipment are available in the first place, rather than issue threats. And that is what I would advise my own senior brother, the regional minister, to do. Because this is still part of the accountability plank of this government. And the only way to ensure that we get stock of the machines is to examine them physically. Is it not also possible, like Doctor indicated, is it not also possible for us, especially the National Secretariat, to actually send men down to the various district assemblies to ascertain whether indeed these machines are there or not, rather than directing that it should be brought to the Regional Coordinating Council? That can be done as well. So these are all things we can have discussions with. And I know that Neil Ante van der Poel is monitoring. And so as a matter of policy, if there is any clarity that needs to be brought to this matter, he would not hesitate to do that. But from where I sit, my information is clear. It has to do with issues of accountability and to take stock of the machines that were handed over to us. And then onward reallocation can be made, depending on the various needs of the district assemblies. Because most of the district assemblies, what they need maybe is an excavator. Others are only in need of a tipper truck and matters like that. So you need to have stock and allocate these machines in accordance with the needs of the district assemblies.
Okay.
I do not think that it is intended to undermine the decentralization drive. And he knows, Doctor knows that when it comes to our commitment to decentralization, the NDC will not be the party to roll the clock backwards. Indeed, we birthed that decentralization process. And it is on record that under us, once again, the district assemblies have started working. We have not centralized their resources at the district assemblies common fund, where the administrator decides what to do with those resources. That was the situation we had on our hands in the last 8 years. That virtually turned the district assemblies to cemeteries, because nothing appeared those days to be happening in these district assemblies. The story today is different. Allocations have been made to them. They have been given that freedom of exercise, especially when it comes to their developmental needs and what they want to use these monies for. And that, once again, is a commitment to our decentralization effort by this government. So we understand how important that is. And Doc, I can assure you that this is a government that is listening, and this is a government that is committed to the decentralization
At
effort.
least
And
we have
do
somewhere to
everything
start.
within
We
our
have somewhere
power
to start
to
with.
defend,
He's given a one-week ultimatum. We'll be counting with both the regional minister as well. If you want to,
I think that he would review that.
He will.
Trust me. They would have to look at other ways of getting the equipment back.
Okay.
I think, I mean, I understand the passion about this is important because, the program or initiative is aimed at improving roads in rural communities. I think that I'm just wondering why they won't rather send people into the communities, because I don't see why the equipment should be brought back to the regional base and then redeployed later. I don't understand. So I agree with my brother that, it would probably be logistically easier to send people there rather than be gathering machines to a centralized place and then sending them back again. Because at the end of the day, it's for improvement of roads in the rural communities. So that's what I'd like to add to this debate.
In front of the Daily Guide this morning is what you told us about robbers stealing 100 pounds of gold in Rambo style. Now, the updates of this is that this is statements from the Ghana police. It says that one suspect arrested in Mpoho gold shop robbery, police on manhunt for others on the run. And on your screen now, we'll be showing you footage of how that happened. CCTV footage of what happened between the police and the suspected robbers, quite brazenly between them, both the robbers and the Ghana police. Now, the Western Regional Police Command is on the manhunt for a gang of armed robbers who attacked a gold mine shop and robbed them of unspecified amount of money and injured one person in the Mpoho district in the Western region on Saturday, 16th day of August 2025. One suspect has been picked up and assisting in the investigation, while strenuous efforts are underway to arrest the remaining suspects. The injured victim is responding to treatment. We'd like to assure the public that perpetrators will be arrested and be made to face justice. And this is signed as well by the head of public affairs in the Western region. And so CCTV footage of how that's happening, it's just, imagine you're just in your store, your shop, and then this happens. We're lucky to have the CCTV footage, which we're showing you now on your screen. Wow. Okay. Vicky, because you have that in front of your newspapers, you want to start with it for us.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting increasingly concerned, and I'm sure along with many Ghanaians, of the sheer audacity of some of these people who have just armed themselves. I mean, they seem to have as much armor as our security personnel. And they are challenging authority in this country, and it has to be nipped in the bud. How do you walk into somebody's shop and just take gold just like that, injuring people along the way and behaving in this way? I'm very happy that the police have at least caught one person. But I mean, this culture of impunity, it's now, I mean, it's become a huge problem, a huge canker that we have to eradicate, because everybody feels they can do whatever they feel like doing. You have the Galamsey sites, as I was saying earlier, just people there fighting the security forces. We heard of Hanabisu the other day being chased by illegal miners who have just armed themselves and are fighting back. People are dying, people are getting injured, as we can see here. And it's now cascading down into other aspects of our lives as Ghanaians. It cannot be tolerated. It really cannot. So I'm hoping that since they've been able to catch one, that person will lead them to the others. I hope they haven't left the country by now, because 100 pounds of gold is a lot of money.
A lot, yeah.
It's a lot of money, several millions of dollars worth of gold. So I hope that they have not, there's some kind of port alert and they have not managed to escape from the country. But it has to stop because we cannot live in fear. People cannot go to their shops or places of work and be scared that anybody can walk in. And is this broad daylight or?
So CCTV captured, and it is broad daylight.
This is ridiculous.
In fact, I thought it was the brazen exchange of firearms between the police and them, but this is when the robbery was actually happening. So this is CCTV footage.
I mean, this is Ghana walking into somebody's shop in broad daylight and just taking what does not belong to you and feeling that it's okay because you want to. The greed, the extent of greed in our country, and we, you know, my brother Bonfe here and I keep talking about Sikafi when we were growing up. Because when we were growing up, I mean, it's not every money that you take. And it's not every rich person that was celebrated. People were interested in the source of your wealth. But now, people look at the money first and work backwards from there. And this is what is fueling some of this something for nothing generation is what we are becoming. People just want it and they want it now, and they don't want to go through the process. Process is important. Process is important. So for me, it's something, it has to stop before it becomes, because if we become a lawless society, we become ungovernable. And if we become ungovernable, then it becomes like the Wild West. Anything goes. And that can never be tolerated. We have competent security forces, and really, they must nip this in the bud.
Doc, would you say that crime of this sort has increased? I would near say that if you check, it looks as though there's a lot more of illicit arms in the country. Large portion of them are not registered. I cannot see, maybe my eyes, but I didn't see the use of guns in this robbery. Did you see it? I didn't see it.
From where I sit, I have... I'm deficient. Yeah. I'm limited in view.
Yes, I also can't see.
They were holding guns.
If you want to talk about increase and whatever, you must be speaking to data. You must be speaking to a researched outcome.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is before us here. And I haven't done any such study. You see, the problems we have in our country don't wear party colors. The solutions to them can therefore not don colors of political parties. There is a government of the Republic of Ghana above partisanship, including people who are non-partisan or have decided not to belong to political parties. And I bet you the statistics will show, if you look at the data available from the political parties, the people in the majority are those who don't belong. So in looking at these issues, I want to discuss them from the lenses of a nationalist. And it's something that has been with us. From time to time, it will come up, we talk about it, then it goes down. And these things are coming up because they have been reported in the news. There are such incidents which are not reported.
Right.
And so one has to be very careful how we talk about the issue of increase or decrease or whatever. That said, we are happy today that at least there was a CCTV.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that we need to appreciate about the capacity to utilize digital technology in improving on our conditions and our way of living. But it is not enough to have CCTVs there. Where was the monitoring team that was supervising the feedback where this CCTV was, pointing to, or whatever record that was taken? The people who were supposed to pick them and work on them, because this is supposed to be a security area. And what rapid response went there from our security outfit? How are they connected with the police, the military, and other security agencies in this regard? Could we have, having failed along the intelligence level to pick and preempt them, when they were there, within a limited space of time, how were we able to rapidly respond to arrest them? Did they run away with the loot?
They did.
They did.
They did?
They did, yeah.
Okay, so it brings to question our response to some of these incidents. And then, now after the fact, with the aid of the CCTV and whatever signal we were able to pick, what network have we been able to establish to ascertain the identities of these people?
At least one person is.
Yeah, he will lead them to.
So it will lead us to pick up the rest. And this might be a syndicate.
Okay.
So that it's a chain. They do this here and they do that, and they have other people within where the
thing happened in the
where this
store.
happened. Yes, in giving them information. We need to tap in on all of this, you know, to dot the I's and cross the T's. And eventually, if the crime or the criminals get to know that, hey, our law enforcement agencies and the citizenry are up and alert, and we need to be careful, I'm sure it will help in bringing down this. The last point I want to make on this is that there is no better security than the security that is provided by the people. When we walk about and we see happenings around us, how security conscious are we to pick car numbers when we see that they are parked in areas that are unholy or not right? When we see faces, how do we pay attention to even what they are wearing? We need to train our minds that we are all policemen and women one way or the other, because the police cannot work if we don't provide them with the necessary information.
And also, you know, the same thing happened. I'm just, as part of this story, they're saying that on July 30th this year, so 2 months ago,
right,
the same thing happened in Elenbele.
Okay.
The same thing. People, armed men, walked into a gold buying shop and attacked the attendants with guns and machetes. And in that incident, one suspect was gunned down and another one was arrested, but all the other accomplices are still at large.
So we need to...
One person takes the fall for the team members.
Yes.
Wow.
And then where Doc, just starting from where Doc just ended, I think that the issue about security consciousness on the part of the citizenry, I've always been arguing for this, I think for a very long time now. I hold a view, especially as a trained teacher myself in the past, and I had the opportunity to teach in many basic schools. And so it was a proposal I made. We should find a way of engaging, especially the Ghana Education Service, of engaging with the Ghana Police Service. Let us introduce at least tips, a course that is associated to security at the basic level, to university, so that we all would have that basic rudiments when it comes to spotting many of these things and informing the authorities. It is important, but it appears that we take it for granted and we assume that it is the responsibility of only the police, and so they should be able to discover many of these things. Let us find a way of introducing that into our educational curricula, so that at least, if for nothing at all, the citizenry can become that educative when it comes to our security as a country. But again, for me, it is not about window dressing. And that is what we've been engaging for years now, unfortunately, as a country. MFR, what we are dealing with is the effects of questionable leadership, bad policies in many state institutions. And this transcends the political class. In all honesty, not long ago, before his demise, the Honorable Dr. Omane Boama brought the attention of the nation to arms that couldn't be accounted for at the armory, as far as the Ghana Army is concerned. And initial investigation revealed that through national security, it had found its way into private hands. In the video, what they are using are guns.
Pardon my vision. I couldn't even recognize a gun in the video.
No, they were holding guns. They had guns. You initially said they had no guns. They
had very big ones.
And in the story, in fact, one of the dealers was even shot in the leg, in the thigh. And this was around 7:30 p.m. So That is why I'm saying that, look, it appears that as a republic, we take pride in window dressing. We must go to the root cause of many of these things. Where did they get their guns? We have a licensing regime in this country. And yet still, even in state institutions, we cannot account for where our ammunitions are going to. That is dangerous. Why do you think that we are having issues with Boko and the likes? Where do you think they have access to these guns from? So, you see, it appears that as a country, we take delight in window dressing. And that is why this dev hits me hard. Because when I listened to him, I knew he was onto something. And it should have gone a long way. So it is my hope and prayer that whoever is going to take over as minister responsible for defense will continue these investigations.
In fact, the Small Arms Commission, I'm just looking it up now, confirms that estimation of a range of 40,000, much higher figure, which is a potentially 10 times greater number of illicit arms in this period as compared to 2024, which means that in this year alone, the proliferation is a lot more higher. And so it just comes to confirm what you're saying.
Absolutely. And even
from the armory.
Unfortunately, and that brings us still back to the institutions. The Small Arms Commission in itself is complaining about the needed funds to be able to do its own work. And it's a creature of the state. There's the need for us to begin to see how we can empower these institutions. Because I listened to Dr. Adam Bona the other time. And he was clearly on his knees in terms of how challenged they are when it comes to resources. And so those who are mandated with the responsibility of driving the reset agenda in conformity with the objective of His Excellency the President and the National Democratic Congress ought to understand that these are the issues we need to focus on as a government. It is important. These are the issues we need to focus on as a government. And we see, apart from the institutional lapses, again, MFA, let us be honest. Look at the vicinity that they are running that business. And to have that amount of gold.
High-value business.
High-value business. We have a regime regulating gold trade in this country. So the people themselves must be conscious when it comes to their security. Because I will not put 80,000 or that amount of gold without requesting for at least police protection.
Yeah.
There's a system in this country where you can actually go and engage the Ghana Police Service and pay for their services. If your businesses are legitimate. So we should be interested in many of these things. These are the questions we should be asking.
Unconfirmed reports suggest that there was some sort of a security personnel on duty that they had hijacked and had tied up so that they can have access to the store. But all of these are just...
That is the case. Because you see, we have to be honest. The police service cannot be everywhere.
True.
They can't be everywhere. So we ourselves must be that conscious, especially when we are engaged in businesses that deals in cash on daily basis.
Okay. Maybe, Vicky, we're going to go to the UK, both the Ghana Bar Association writing to the UK Bar as well, asking that the Chief Justice be reinstated. The Attorney General has responded to that. But before we go to that, let's talk about this title use of professorship. I can see the smirk on Doc's face. Oh, my goodness.
We were talking about that.
GTEC, yes, writing to the Deputy Health Minister that she should cease using the use of professor as a title. And I've also seen that her lawyers or some write-ups suggesting to be legal representatives of her also writing back in response. First of all, the general performance of GTEC in writing to persons using certain titles, what's your initial reaction to that before we get to this detailed one? Vicky, I want to start with you.
Okay, sure. Well, I think my thoughts on these things are very clear. All I'll say is that I don't know whether she has the title or she doesn't have the title. If she doesn't, she should just drop it. After all, she's a doctor. I mean, she doesn't need to add the professorship if she's not a professor. I have seen situations where people are calling themselves all sorts of things in this country, and they've been getting away with it. And so I'm happy that the GTEC is clamping down on these things, because it's not easy to be a doctor, whether medical or otherwise, It's not easy to be a lawyer. It's not easy to be an accountant or whatever it is. It's not easy. So when people freely arrogate titles to themselves, I have problems with it. I'm not suggesting at all that that's what the deputy minister is doing here, because I don't have the facts. I don't know what her qualifications are. But what I'm talking about is a more general problem in this country. You know, we love titles here. We love titles. And that's fine, but earn them. Earn those titles. Don't just arrogate titles to yourself. So for me, this thing between the GTech and Dr. Yinsu Dankwa, I don't think she needs it. She's a medical doctor, right? Yeah, so I don't know what the big thing is, the big deal is about. I mean, professorships are conferred by institutions, and each institution has their own criteria for conferring the professorship. So it's not like a general thing where you say a PhD. Everybody knows what you've been through, whether it was conferred in Ghana or Timbuktu or the US or whatever. It's the same, it's a process that you have to go through, and they generally last around the same number of years. Professorships are more partisan. In America, they tend to use it more loosely.
Absolutely.
If you're a teacher, they call you a professor.
Yes.
Yeah, in England, no. You have to earn it. In Ghana, no. You have to earn it. So, you know.
And I like that you brought the US. I'm not quite sure whether it was the US that she lived in for a while before she came.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like to think that the title that you held before, wherever you are, even if it's a company or wherever it is, you are likely to want to stay with that one, the very recent one that she had, right? Say, if she was in the US for years and she was being addressed as professor, I like to think that if she arrived in Ghana, she wasn't going to just drop it off. I mean, forgive my ignorance, but it will not be strange for such a person who's been addressed as professor outside of the jurisdiction will come to Ghana and drop it. But I'm not a specialty in this. I'm not an authority on this. Doc, you're here. Is it strange that if you worked in the US and you were called a professor, whether you earned it conferred on you informally or formally, would it be strange that you addressed that?
Apparently, she was an adjunct professor.
Adjunct associate.
Adjunct associate. Oh, then she was not a professor.
You see, I feel very uncomfortable having this
if she
discussion.
was an adjunct associate.
You know, because as my sister Vicky said, this is, it's needless. You see, there is this thing about American jurisdiction from here. The US, they will call you professor if you are teaching, even in the high school.
Exactly. You're a professor.
They will not attach it to your name.
No.
Okay.
They will not.
Okay, in official documents.
Yes, they will not. So let's stop making it look like in the US they will call you professor just because you are teaching, and they will attach it to your name as a rank.
Or a title, permanent title.
In fact, professorship is not an academic attainment in terms of, you know, like having a degree. It is not. It's a rank that you reach based on scholarly work and based on your contribution to knowledge. That is why we call PhD the terminal degree. It's the highest.
Okay.
So there are people who have PhDs. They don't have professorship titles, but they are more published than emeritus professors because they did not submit themselves to the process of going through, I mean, the evaluation to become a professor, associate professor, full professor, and if by extension, at some point, emeritus professor when you are in retirement. They have not, but they are satisfied with that, even though there are more published persons such as that.
So you must subject yourself to a certain
a process by the institution.
Yes.
Professorship is institution specific.
It's very rigorous.
And every institution has its own criteria that it uses. And you know, there are some scholars who say that professorship is not transferable. If you are a professor at the University of Professional Studies in a particular discipline, you don't necessarily have to be a professor in the University of Ghana, which is a different institution and may not even have the department in which your professorship
So if you leave that department at the University of Professional Studies, the professorship title dies there with you.
I'm saying there are some people who are of that school of thought.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's the case.
I'm just trying to understand that.
I'm just saying that, you see, for me, what we are talking about here is scholarship, achievement with scholarship, and being celebrated by society. I would want to, agree with what
Vicky says, yeah.
We've watched this beautiful lady. She doesn't even need the title associated with her. You are good. We know. You don't need that. And to flaunt it, and that's why my problem is. To want to, I am this, let your scholarship speak for who you are and your attainment. Let us see that this is a scholar, this is somebody who has a certain pedigree, somebody with a certain impetus, somebody with a certain background. Let it reflect in your attitude and your expressions or presentations.
How do you feel about she feeling that GTech is onto something more personal?
So if that is her view, I really don't know, but I mean, there's something that Vicky said. I used to think that GTech, but it's something that is serious because we live in a society, as much as we think that we have increased in our literacy rate and all that, in so many ways, we are still in the traditional stage of development. People believe what we see and what we read.
Okay.
And so we need to protect and keep the limits. Who is this person? Who is that person? Who is that person? Not all of us will publicly reject what is accorded us that we are not.
Okay. And also,
Yes, MFA, briefly, I think that I just got an information in relation to your DRIP. The directive of the Northern Regional Minister. It had to do with the fact that when the equipment were brought into the country, most of them were not sufficient to be distributed to all districts.
Okay.
So those
not all
ones,
districts got it.
Yes. So those ones were particularly centralized at the
coordinating
council.
Okay.
So that
assemblies can go for them.
Yes, you can go for. So some of them went for them
and didn't return.
Oh, so you take it, use it, and bring it back for the other person.
They were not enough to go around. Those particular ones. So I think that is the case we have.
Okay.
But in principle, I have no problem whatsoever with GTech.
Yeah.
As far as this fight is concerned, in principle, I have no problem. As a political party, we
are being partisan, Papa.
I'm being partisan. I'm not. I'm just being.
No, the way you said as a political party.
As a political party, when we're campaigning.
Lamont is a politician. I don't expect him to sound religious.
Yes, when we're campaigning.
I'm a politician. I'm saying he's been partisan.
Right.
But that was an enlightenment.
Okay.
When we're campaigning, we promised a reset. I've heard other people say that why is it that GTech has become this active now that the NDC is in power? I've heard others calling for the head of the GTech boss. That is not in tandem with the reset agenda we promised. I have no problem whatsoever. If GTech has seen the need to do what it is mandated to do under an NDC government or John Mahama's presidency, that is clearly in line with our reset agenda. And that is what I expect from our state institutions. And I am fully in support of GTech on this drive because undoubtedly we must have limits in this country, especially when it comes to these titles. Look, we have laws in our law book that has to deal with, what's the name, defrauding by false pretenses.
Right. Can this really amount to that?
If you do not, I do not know because I don't have the facts. But if you do not have qualifications and you ascribe these qualifications to yourself, it is a problem.
It's a big problem.
And if there's a creation of law intended to regulate many of these things and it is acting, so be it. I have heard the statement, I've seen the statement of the lawyers of Professor Ayensu.
Quite a long one.
Yes, so I am happy about that. She feels strongly. It is within her legal right to do so. She feels strongly that they went about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And she's done the honorable thing by instructing her lawyers to engage with GTEC, that these actions are in line with law. So let us allow them to continue. But many of the other instances that GTEC has raised red flags, I've seen a number of them have complied. Many have dropped these titles. That is how to sanitize the process. And nobody in our political party, especially the National Democratic Congress, should have a problem with the work of GTEC, from where I sit. Because we did not win this political power to take for granted the desires of the Ghanaian people.
In fact, what I found interesting is that that legal response from her lawyers indeed had her name, but for the first time it was without a professor.
Wow.
Yeah.
See?
Beneath it was the doctor
I lost
title.
That one. I lost
That's
that
what
one.
I
But you
looked
see,
out for.
but then again, she probably have a reason for doing it.
Absolutely.
They are contesting it. That is the beauty of it. And so it does not mean that she doesn't have the title. They are contesting it. So let us allow them to engage in that process, lawful process. But like I indicated, MFA, everybody in this country should be commending GTEC.
Yeah, absolutely.
People have cooked certificates in this country.
Oh, yes.
And they are employed on the basis of these fictitious certificates.
And that's why
many of our graduates are on the roads seeking for employment, and they cannot have access after going through formal training in their various educational institutions, earning degrees that they are worth. Indeed, in this country, political people or politically exposed persons had to be sanctioned because of an error in their thesis that even their supervisors couldn't discover.
Right.
We all hailed it. And we thought that was the right thing. Many had concerns about it. So why are we so comfortable in suddenly allowing people to throw about titles that they have not earned, or that the GTEC believes that they have not earned? Have you forgotten what happened in this country when people had their masters withdrawn? And these are students who were known to be intelligent those days. And even were celebrated and awarded in their various institutions for their intelligence. But through no fault of theirs, because some of their supervisors in the thesis were clearly not doing the job they had to do, they ended up having a problem with their thesis that led to the withdrawal of masters that were awarded by these institutions. So so if you are holding a doctorate or professor title that you are not entitled to,
stop using it.
Stop using
That's
it.
all.
That shouldn't be hard, right?
That shouldn't be hard.
And if you look here, sorry, so this is the whole essence of what GTEC is doing. It said the commission emphasized that the inappropriate use of unearned academic titles undermines the integrity of Ghana's higher education system and could amount to public deception. This is the crux of the matter. So why would you actually put yourself out there to be something that you're not? You are deceiving all of us. And as my brother Hamza said, people who have actually earned their degrees are out there sweeping. They don't have any jobs because some of these people are just deceiving everyone.
Sweeney, sorry, Hamza.
It's okay. It's
no, he knows it. Sorry.
Yesterday I was talking to him.
So he knows.
So no, I just want to, but I think in our law books we have something that misrepresentation by false.
Yes.
And GTEC has a mandate. That's why they want that they will prosecute. They will take.
They should go ahead.
The last point I want to make is what I've had the challenge of being questioned over my academic credentials in the US. Yes, when I was doing a program with the university there, and they have this Western Education Service who are a middle, like they verify. And they wrote to my universities in Ghana to verify. And I went to the administration of the university to find out. The problem is what Hamza alluded to. There are people who have gone there with fake certifications.
A lot of people in this
And
country.
so, when you go there, and I had to pay an amount to get that process done for me. Why do we endanger or trouble other people just because of our own greed?
Right.
And foolishness, because you can, when you use this title, which is unearned or unaccorded, definitely you'll be found out, no matter how long it takes.
Let's deal with two issues here. We'll spend maybe some 8 to 10 minutes on the Chief Justice matter, and then maybe some 5 minutes on the amnesty that the NPP said is granted its members that want suspension or for various things that they had done. But so the Bar Council of England and Wales and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association have raised serious concerns over the April 2022-2025 suspension of Ghana's Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. In a joint statement issued on August 14, the two legal bodies urged President John Dramani Mahama and the executive arm of government to immediately reinstate Justice Gertrude, describing Ghana as a nation with a strong tradition of upholding the rule of law. Let's explore this. How do you feel about this matter getting to this level, Hamza?
For me, in all honesty, I don't think that we need to give this any attention than it deserves. An expression of opinion on the happenings of the issue of the Chief Justice and the fact that she's been taken through Article 146. I have read the entire statement from the Bar Council and Commonwealth Lawyers Association. And clearly, I think that even their own statement betrays the very principles they sought to espouse. MFI, I say so because I think that the issue of the removal of the Chief Justice has always been two strands. One political and the other legal. And when it comes to the political angle of it, people are forgiven to express their views or opinions. Just like the Ghana Bar Association did. What they did was clearly in tandem with their political aspirations to express their opinions on the matter. The Bar Council in this regard and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association is also another creature of activism that is permitted to express an opinion on happenings of this nature. It does not mean that that is the official position of the UK government. That point needs to be made. Because many of these bar institutions, they have that kind of relationship that transcends regional boundaries. And so that solidarity is there. So for me, when I read the statement, I understood it in that light. But in terms of the legality, we are talking about the Latima House principles that they quoted and sought to, on the basis of that, question the suspension of the Chief Justice. And I have it before me. Where, and if you allow me to read,
okay.
It says judges should be subject to suspension or removal only for reasons of incapacity or misbehavior. That clearly renders them unfit to discharge their duties. Misbehavior and incapacity. It is all enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. And clearly, one of the articles under Article 146, on the basis of which a senior judge or Chief Justice could be removed from office, stated misbehavior. Is that not a fact? Now, the same Latima principles proceeds to say that court proceedings should, unless the law or overriding public interest otherwise dictates, be open to the public. Superior court decisions should be published and accessible to the public and be given in a timely manner. If we are saying that the committee that is investigating the matter is a quasi-judicial body, and we have elected, based on our constitutional principles, to make it in camera, clearly, again, in tandem with the principles of the Latima House that they quoted. So I'm struggling to understand where there's a breach of the law. As far as the operationalization of Article 146 is concerned. But MFA, even more intriguing, is the UK Constitutional Reform Act of 2005. That also details the processes that the government of the United Kingdom, either the Lord Chancellor or that of the Prime Minister, processes that they could activate to remove a Court of Appeal judge or High Court judge or that of the Chief Justice. And in that particular provisions, I think somewhere Article 1, Section 135 of 2005 of the National Reform Act, it is the Constitutional Reform Act, it is explicitly stated that a tribunal could be formed. And based on the outcome of the report of the tribunal, indeed the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom can proceed to suspend a Chief Justice pending an address to both houses of Parliament and onward forwarding to the Queen or King for final determination of the matter.
So in all principles...
I'm coming. And so if you read, even if you read that Constitutional Reform Act, and the tribunal that has been spearheaded or spoken about here, it has the stature of our Council of Elders. And if you look at Article 146, it also states explicitly that the president may, in consultation, acting on the advice, rather, not in consultation, acting on the advice of the Council of State, can proceed to suspend the Chief Justice. So the president has not acted alone in exercising that power to suspend. It is acting on the advice of the Council of State.
Okay.
So you see, it is in tandem with their Reform Act.
Both
so I am struggling.
And then the Constitution
absolutely.
as well.
And I'm struggling. But you see, finally, MFI, it is important for me to learn.
Okay,
I have looked at, and the reason why I made references to the political bit of it, I've looked at the composition. People are waxing their political influence. I have looked at the composition of the Commonwealth and those interesting figures who are associated with the New Patriotic Party, who are in there, and the kind of political strings we all know we can pull just for the PR of it. Again, I know as a matter of fact that Mills, Barbara, who happens to be the head of the Bar Council in the UK, I know her. And I know she has a very good relationship with Justice Tokono. It predates this particular issue of her removal. And so you cannot prevent somebody like me from trying to understand the political justifications behind such an unusual statement from the Bar Council. And that takes me to the final point on this matter. You see, when I was worried, I began looking at our own internal constitutional mechanisms, especially the composition of the General Legal Council. And I think that we must learn from this example and consider how we can factor in the minister responsible for foreign affairs when it comes to sensitive decisions that borders on our international relations. Because I'm convinced, where I sit, that there's no way the UK government would be comfortable with this statement that the Bar Council issued. But the challenge is that there's that disconnect. So the Bar Council is not mindful of the international repercussions this statement could pose for the UK as an entity. So as a country called Ghana, we must learn from this example and ensure that in the future, our own General Legal Council, in the name of this so-called bar solidarity, it doesn't go to engage in an issue that clearly will falter when it comes to the foreign policy direction of the Republic of Ghana.
I have you land on that.
And these are concerns that I think that those who are at the helm of affairs, especially when it comes to the legal architecture, should be talking about.
Doug,
there's the need for us to have this international...
Let me have Doug respond to this.
Respond to the issues.
Yes.
I think that the Bar Council of England and Wales and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association are non-governmental bodies. That point must be made. I'm not sure, Hamza. I think you had, a call in the UK.
Yeah.
And by virtue of that, you are also called to the Ghana Bar. You belong to one of them, or either of them, both of them. It's possible. There are lawyers in Ghana who are members of these councils. So in terms of the legitimacy to come into this matter, it's not in doubt. And it has nothing, as Hamza himself said, it has nothing to do with the government. It's not a governmental thing. So why you would then proceed to say that Ghana as a country should take a cue from it and look at relations between associations and comments that they make, for me,
it's far-fetched.
Yes, it's far-fetched. It's a non-starter. But the important thing, if you look at the statement, and I've taken pains to make notes in it, they are not saying anything new. They have only reiterated statements that have been made by the Ghana Bar Association with reasons. They have reiterated call by the Commonwealth Magistrates and Judges Association, not in this one, but previously. And it is in line with steps and statements that have been made by entities in this country, including the Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems, of which I am an interested party, at the Supreme Court currently, challenging the constitutionality of the process. And here is the point. You see, and Hamza made reference to it, it is settled law with pronouncements from the Supreme Court on a number of cases that when a quasi-judicial committee is to function or work, it must be guided by procedure or rules. That committee does not elect unto itself which rule to use. In this case, the committee that we have, what rules are they using? They're using the committee investigating
the matter.
And this, I'm coming. That's why I'm saying that this is a pleading we are making in a case at the Supreme Court as an interested party who sought to the affidavit in that matter. I am bringing to the fore some of the challenges to do with the process.
Okay.
That up from the beginning, the process that was to be taken before the suspension of the Chief Justice were not done.
Where? Which part?
I'm coming. That is our contention, that before you suspend the Chief Justice, you must have established prima facie on the basis of petitions received. And having done that, then you form a committee. And then you refer the matter to the committee. These are all established in Article 146. When you start from 6, go to 8, 9, 10, and 11, up to the point of the suspension. And I'm saying that when that is done, it is done because you must have established prima facie a question beyond what responses that she gave that she must address. And we have instances where this exercise has been done in our country. And it has been established how the prima facie was established and what questions are to be answered. That is why we are challenging that. So this statement from the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, I'm saying it's not new in the sense that they are emphasizing questions that are pending before the Supreme Court. And isn't it interesting that as we speak now, the pendency of our case and the other cases, the Attorney General hasn't entered the various responses that they are supposed to be entered at the Supreme Court for the matter to be heard. People assume that because the interlocutory injunctions that we filed subsequent to the applications themselves were dismissed, it meant that the petitions had been, or applications had been dismissed.
The matter itself is.
And the attitude of the Attorney General in our case is lukewarm. We haven't come out to talk about it. And I'm not sure even the Commonwealth Lawyers Association and the Bar Council
know about
what I'm talking about, the attitude of the Attorney General. And you know, whether we like it or not, Hamza, the leader of government business in Parliament, in agreement with us, went to Parliament and said that going forward, we need to have regulations enacted to guide Article 146. You think it's of no importance?
Until then,
the laws
that we have cannot function.
Good. No. The law that we have will function. And the law that we have now, with all its deficiencies, has been pronounced upon. There have been attempts in the Ajay case in 2005 by Dateban to fill the vacuum. And in filling that vacuum, the Supreme Court made some directives to be followed. And I don't think that it's being followed. Look, as for the politics, that's why I've just explained. But you see, we are decided on these matters. And our comments are influenced by our conclusions. I feel that the approach that we are taking in this matter is wrong and undermines the principles of the rule of law and the
due process.
Yeah, and due process. I think so.
Okay.
And I can tell you that, if the committee, based on some of the witnesses who have appeared before them, including persons who drafted our Constitution 1992, will be taken into account, it will vindicate this position.
I think because you're an interested party.
Yes. I'm saying.
So
let's not make it. The point I'm making is that let's not make it look like the Commonwealth Lawyers Association is being officious or coming into a matter they have not been invited in. Okay. It is within their right, and I think that yes, and I think that we must listen to what they are saying.
For us in just a few minutes on this. I like to think I quite know your position on this Article 146.
Yes, I've said it on many platforms. Yeah, I think that we all know that it's not perfect, but that's what we have at the moment. So we have to work with it until we change it or make some clarity or whatever, clarifications to its operation. All I'll say is that the position is, as we all know, we've talked about this, cogitated it, digested it all over the place. And the president is following Article 146 to the letter. We know from a J2 and others that the Article 146, she said that an Article 146 committee, she being JSC Sofa Kufu, that is an ad hoc, a committee set up. Yeah. And Article 146 is an ad hoc committee, and they are free to make up their rules.
Absolutely.
And so we need to just respect that for now. We know there are problems with it, and we must change, we must address those problems. But for now, that's what we have. I don't see that the president is doing anything wrong yet. When he does, I think we'll all see it.
If I just
30 seconds because the time is up.
First of all, it is important to
I really don't.
To make the point and to make my brother understand that when it comes to the laws of this country, pronouncements of the Supreme Court constitute that law.
Yes.
And so when it comes to the regulations or rules governing or directing the operations of that particular committee, that pronouncement she just made
will still override it.
Yeah. It is not the only pronouncement.
And no, please.
There isn't.
It says they are free to make their own rules. So it's part of the law. So you cannot, on the basis of Article 146, be demanding a law. Finally. On the issue of the most recent on the issue of the international relations, I think that you probably would need to engage further when it comes to the implications of the operations of organizations within a country. Its implications of these international
we need more time for that.
But this organization is beyond the bounds of the UK.
The AM show. We've been joined by Victoria Wright. She is lawyer, entrepreneur, as well. Dr. James Komna-Bonfe, he is an interested party in that matter. Hamza Suhini, lawyer and a member of the NDC communications team. Thank you so much. There's more on the show. Big stories coming up. Please stay.
All right, so welcome back to the AM show. A reminder that the show is sponsored by Syntex Tanks. Syntex Tank, strong, tough. Now let's deal with the big stories today. We look forward to the WASSCE 2025, and as that examination is kicking off on August 20, we want to discuss the preparations, security arrangement, especially for candidates in conflict zones such as in Boko, Nalerigu and Nkwanta, and all other pertinent issues concerning that particular examination. And we've been joined in the studio by the head of public affairs with the West African Examination Council, John Kapi. He is our guest today. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming through.
It's my pleasure.
Okay. So, in terms of WASSCE, how far so far?
Good morning. So far, I would say so good because we've started with the project work. The candidates are already working with their project work. Some of them have also started with the practical work, especially the home economics students. Some of the science students have also started with their practicals. And this morning we have some of the written papers going to be started.
So it means that the writing is starting today.
Today.
Over the weeks, what has been happening is the practicals and the project work.
Project work, that's correct. Yeah.
So how has it been for students countrywide?
Well, we would say that we have had interactions with a number of the candidates. A majority of them have been spoken to in terms of what we call sensitization. We try to sensitize them in preparation towards examination. There are a lot of things that some of them, unfortunately, are ignorant about, and so you have to draw their attention to it. So we've held sensitization programs for a number of the candidates in preparation towards the examination. We have about 461,640 candidates who are writing the exam this year, 2025.
Okay. Okay. Well, we know that prior to these exams, there were issues in some parts of the country, but we'll get there. Let's deal with the preps so far. So in terms of the practicals, they are going well. 461,640 candidates are writing. What about the preparations in terms of the, how do you call the papers getting to them and all the materials that they will need in writing?
Well, we have so far been able to print the question papers. We've sent also, normally for the WAS, the stationery goes along with the question papers. So whoever is keeping custody of the questions also keeps custody of the stationery, except for the objective answer cards, which we would present to the schools ahead of time so that the supervisors can prepare them for the exam. So we've printed, normally we print in batches based on the timetable. So for the first 3 weeks, all the questions are ready. They have been transported as we speak. Every single person has arrived at their destination ready for the examination this morning. So I would say that we've had quite a smooth process in the preparation towards the examination in terms of printing, packaging, and then dispatching our staff to the field for the exercise.
Are there issues of any owing and therefore would affect marking of the papers we get to hear over the years?
No, as we speak, the job is done in stages. We have even before the printing starts, we have the moderating meetings where subject officers and subject experts sit down to look at the questions and select the ones appropriate for any specific examination. So that stage is done, and then we also have the pre-examination stage, that is the printing, the typesetting and printing. That one has also been done. Now, in all of these situations, we need money. Okay, so I would say that for now, we've been provided funds enough to be able to cover up to the point where we are right now. So I can say that for the entire period of the examination, we should be able to go without any complaints.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
I'm interested in will be how do you select invigilators? How do you select those who even set the examination questions? But let's just take you just a little back further. There are a few people that are quite confused about the mandate of WAEC. Some people think that GES, some people think that the Ministry of Education have a hand in a few things that you do. So just reiterate the real core mandate of WAEC today, then we'll pick it up from there.
So WAEC is supposed to be, or we are an international examining body. We are supposed to conduct exams in the public interest, and then we award certificates. Now, in every country that we work in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education, all right. Now, the issue between us, not an issue per se, but the collaboration is between us and the Ghana Education Service, because they are supposed to be the policy implementers, if you want. And so examinations actually belong to them. The syllabuses would belong to them. They would come out with, let's say, we have new subjects we want to examine our candidates on. We want to, skew our examination along these lines, and therefore we want our candidates examined in this and that area. So we have the expertise, and so we bring our expertise to bear on how we structure the examinations. Now, when it comes to syllabuses, we have NACA, the National, curriculum Development, I think Curriculum Authority. I've forgotten the full meaning of the
We also just stick to NACA sometimes.
Yeah, we just say NACA, but actually it's just escaping.
It's the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment.
Assessment, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I should know that. You know, so they are the ones.
There are a lot of things when you're here, so we'll forgive you.
They help us to craft the syllabuses, you know, because it's a broad area. And if you want to teach, you have to ensure that there are specific areas that are teachable. And when you come out with the syllabus, you also elicit from the teaching syllabus what we call the examination syllabus, because not everything you teach that you can examine. There are some of them you can examine orally, others you cannot. And so when we are done with all of that, okay, then we decide, okay, this is the way the examination is going to go. We come out with the structure of the examination, and then we send it across the country. All the experts get to see it, and they get to know that these are the areas we need to teach our candidates. These are the areas that we are going to examine our candidates on. You know. Then when we are done with all of that, a subject officer, like previously I used to be a subject officer, I handled English language for quite a while.
Okay.
Now, so you would take a look at your syllabus, you look at the area that's normally an examination blueprint. You take the blueprint and look at it, look at the areas that you need to set questions on. So you look out for subject experts who can help you to set questions on some of the areas. Now, so you take one examiner and tell him, for example, set for me questions on recall, maybe just 10 questions on recall. Another person will set questions for you on synthesis. Another person will set questions for you on application. All of this will come together to make one paper. Now, the reason is that we don't allow one person to set an entire paper. In our system, we always say that we don't trust anybody. We don't even trust each other. Because we never know who is talking beyond the level that they have to talk. You know, so when these questions come, we, as a subject officer, look at them, you fine-tune them. Then the next stage is what we call the moderating stage. There we have a new set of people, apart from those item writers.
Right.
We call them items because you don't have to go talking questions. People get to know what you are talking about. So the item writers are not part of it. So you sit down with these subject experts, you look at the questions, and then you look at the syllabus, look at your blueprint as well, to ensure that whatever it is you are going to examine falls within the demands of the subject that have been taught. You know, so when the moderating meetings are done, the subject officer goes back, sits down, and then will select from these areas I mentioned earlier and put them together and make them one paper. So at the end of the day, you, the item writer, wouldn't know whether item 1 I wrote is going to be examined in 2025 or in 2026. The moderators have moderated. The items are many. You, the final, the subject officer, will then put them together, and then you go out there. I mean, you go for the typesetting, the printing is done, and then it appears before the candidate as a question paper.
There seems to be a big jump from the time that you have selected, then it appears to the candidate. Let's get to see on the value chain when you have done the question selection after, within the moderation, when you have the questions ready, in terms of fairness and security, how does it move from here before it gets to the candidate?
Right. So as a subject officer, every subject officer has a safe in his office. And you are supposed to have an office to yourself. You are not supposed to share your office with anybody. And when you are compiling your paper, you do it alone. Nobody else is supposed to assist you for purposes of accountability. So once the moderating is done and I have received my question papers, they are in my safe. So I come, and then in my own privacy, I spread them out. These ones are on recall, these ones on application, these are on synthesis, and so on. So I pick from here at random. Okay, then when I'm done, I put them together, then I begin to compile the paper. I write section A, section B, section C, of course with all the instructions. Answer only one question here, answer this, don't answer that, this one is compulsory. So when you are done, as subject officer, you go and do your typesetting. There's an area where you type the questions yourself. There's a program that we use, and everybody has been put through it, so they have an idea how it goes. So when you are done typesetting, we have staff who are supposed to be at the security printing department. They are the ones who receive these things, and then they fine-tune them, because a lot of the people are not too conversant with the typesetting. But once they are done, they put them in what we call our house style. And then, of course, they have all the rubrics over there. And then when they are done with this, you go back and do your proofreading. So when you come across any things that are ambiguous, any things that may elicit more than one response from the candidate, anything that will cause the candidates to be confused, you quickly change those items. And then when you are done, you leave it for the guys at the security printing department. So they start with the process of printing.
Okay.
That's some process.
Yeah.
That's some real process.
A long
process,
one.
Yeah.
In the examination hall, Kujo, if you want to come in the examination hall, what goes into the selection of supervisors or invigilators, if I might say? What's the criteria?
Well, earlier I mentioned that the job we do in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service. So what we do is that we have the mandate to get the questions, to moderate, to print, and bring it to the candidates. And the part GS place is to provide us with invigilators and supervisors. So those people are supposed to be actively teaching in that area. They are conversant with the area. And so they are the ones who are supposed to do the invigilation and supervision. With the private schools, we privately select people to go out there and supervise and invigilate the examination.
So earlier you gave us that the number of candidates expected to write in this exam is 461,640. How many are women? How many are girls? How many are boys? And again, what's the percentage increase or decrease over last year's?
So we have about 207,381 males and 254,259 females. This is about 0.22% above last year's figure that we used. I mean, the candidature for last year.
Okay. Now, in terms of the examination centers, do you also classify some centers as high-risk centers? And if you do, which are these for these exams?
So yes, we have some hotspots across the country. Normally, we wouldn't want to mention them before the examination for very good reasons.
Okay.
But then over the years, I think we put out some statistics when we held our stakeholder engagements across the country. We have some of the regions that are, high up the scale when it comes to examination malpractices. We've had issues with the Bono East and Ahafu regions. We've also had issues with the central region. We've had Ashanti region as well. So these are areas that we've had issues on, examination malpractices. And so certainly we would increase our presence in these areas in order that we're able to minimize and to the larger extent curb this issue of examination malpractice.
What about the issues about security? Do you have anywhere?
Before you go to security quickly, who are the key actors in examination malpractice? The candidates, the supervisors, who?
It's a big cartel. Now, let me use that for want of another expression. I say so because sometimes you accost people outside the examination environment, if I say environment, because there are some of the areas where you have in excess of about 24, 25 classrooms for one center only. And then you have people, and some of the schools are not walled. So you have people coming in from outside, sometimes with photocopied material that they want to bring to the candidates. So you look at it and then you can say that, for example, there are people who are outside and there are those who are inside. We have teachers, we have heads of school, all right? And then we have also the supervisors and invigilators. Because you see, I say so because if, for example, you have a class of about 30 candidates and there's supposed to be one invigilator, that is the way we do it. Each class of 30 takes one invigilator. Now, as invigilator, you are the one supposed to keep the room in such a way that nothing untoward happens. But if in your presence, people are able to sneak in, or with your assistance, they sneak in material, mobile phones and all that, then of course, you are culpable, all right? And then also, as a supervisor, it is not just a matter of being at a desk and writing notes or writing reports, periodically you walk across and ensure that your invigilators are doing the right thing. You know, so it's something that involves a whole number of people. Teachers are involved, heads of school are involved, supervisors, invigilators, townspeople are also part of it.
What are you doing over the years, or what have you done over the years to try and identify these cartel or this cartel and probably deal with them, because they are the reasons why we have a lot of these malpractices?
Well, as a council, we have situations where we've monitored some of these rogue websites. When I woke up this morning, I noticed that somebody had sent to me one site that is promising everybody ditto questions.
Okay.
Questions and answers and all of that. Let me just cite the example of the BEC. During the BEC, we had somebody who was, parading questions online. So we picked that up. We have a collaboration with the Ghana Police Service, the NIB. So we decided to ask the NIB to assist us. We picked the guy all the way in Bolga from Accra. And when he was picked up, we realized that he really didn't have the questions. He didn't have anybody sending him questions. All he did was to have people who take snapshots when the examination starts. When they post this, he also would capture that and retype it in a different font to make it look as if it is authentic. But when you look at the time he posts the questions, it is way beyond the time that examination has started.
Okay.
So these are people who are working, and later they mentioned to me that there is some kind of identity theft. So for example, if I'm the one who is putting that out there, I will not use my own name.
Okay.
They use some other names, and sometimes they use the SIM and throw the thing away. So they can use the SIM, and it's difficult to trace them. So what we do is that we also try and trace these people. We try to see how best we can track them, and then we send out our monitors as well. We have specially trained monitors within the council that we send out there to monitor the exam for us. We have our own staff who are also going around. Thankfully, NIB has been very, very helpful. They also do. The National Security also does a good job. They also go around, because they won't tell you where they are going, but they will send you reports of things that they've observed in the field. And then also we have personnel from the Ghana Education Service who go around and assist us to monitor, and then they send reports to us about certain things that are happening which they feel, which they know are certainly not right.
Interesting. Because you are on the journey of security.
Yes, I'll get that. But aside the people who are doing this for financial gains, how has also the ranking of schools played a role in all of this? Because if my school is always ranking in the lowest, and of course my teachers are invigilating, I'll probably do something so that we have.
Yeah, so as a council, we have no business ranking schools, because we don't run the schools.
Okay.
We do not have that jurisdiction over any school. Okay. Our business is examination. So when it comes to school ranking, it is the Ghana Education Service that does the ranking.
Okay.
All that we do is when we release the results, we send out statistics of the pass rate A1 to C6, D7, E8, F9, the percentages in terms of the total candidature. But we do not rank the schools, because even when I go to the area where they are marking, I'm unable to tell which school scripts are being marked at a particular time. Even though in the database, it is possible that you can find, these scripts belong to, let's say, Accra High School, these ones belong to Laboni Senior High School, and so on. The results. But then we have no business ranking any school. All the ranking is done by the Ghana Education Service.
Okay. But do you see that as playing a role in all of this?
Yes, we held stakeholder engagements across the country, because we're beginning to record very high numbers of examination malpractice. And so we decided to hold engagements with those involved. When I say those involved, not that they are involved in examination malpractice, but also help us to do the examination. So we had the district directors, we had regional directors, we had reps from the private schools. We invited some PTAs, we involved some chiefs, the police, and other security services that help us to run the examination. And some of the feedback we received indicated that some of them, some heads, have even been chastised for having their schools perform below par. And so they also go out there, in order that they don't get called bad names, they would go out there and try to ensure that their students do well. These are things that we ourselves haven't discovered, but which, have come from the people that we're engaged with. And specifically, they mentioned the school ranking. They also mentioned the contract. I think there's a performance contract that they have with the Ghana Education Service. These are things that are outside our operations, outside our jurisdiction. They have nothing to do with us. Our thing basically is examination.
Given that GES is the one that helps with the selection of invigilators specifically, how much discretion do you think that invigilators will have? I acknowledge that it's not directly under your mandate, but how much discretion? And I ask because of candidates' issues such as cramps for women, candidates' issues for maybe a headache. How much discretion do they have?
Before the examinations commence, we ask the supervisors to come for a briefing session. At the briefing session, they are told what to do and what not to do, what to do under certain circumstances. Now, for example, for each center, they are supposed to have a first aid unit where the candidates can be attended to when they have some of these issues that you've mentioned. So if a candidate happens to be ill in the course of the examination, they look at the initial treatment that can be given to help the candidate sit the examination. Now, if it persists throughout the entire examination, the supervisor has a report form that he fills and sends it to us, describing the situation of the candidate at the time of writing the examination. We have internal processes that we can use in grading the person, even if they are unable to finish the entire examination because of ill health. So we have that briefing session. We tell them what they can do, what they cannot do, and what reports we expect from them to enable us to take, decisions that will not jeopardize anybody's future.
Take a trip to the...
Exactly. You gave us high-risk areas, but that didn't include the areas where we've known that they have security issues. So what's the plan?
So when the exams were to be, first of all, during the BEC, what we did, especially at the time, it was just Boko. So we did not have an examination depot in Boko. What we did was to have a depot at Zebila. So from Zebila, the examination officials, that is the district exam officials, would drive under police escort to Zebila, pick up the questions, go back, have the candidates write, and then return the scripts to our depot keeper at Zebila. That's what we did, and that's the same thing we wanted to replicate for the WAS. And then the Nalego issue occurred, and then there were also some pockets of disturbances in some schools within the Upper East in particular. Okay. So what we did was to be in touch with the local authorities, of course, with the collaboration of the Ghana Education Service. And then they told us that they had made adequate provision for security. They will be able to secure the entire area where the examinations will be written. We have about in 3 centers within the Boko enclave itself. So what they've tried to do is that they are no longer having any day students. Everybody now has been sent to the boarding house.
Okay.
So you don't have to commute from home to school to write the examination. And then also we have our examination depot at Zebila, as I mentioned earlier. So the examination officials would go, pick up the questions, go and conduct the examination, of course, with the support of the security personnel who are in that area. And when exams are over, they return the scripts to Zebila. Now, we've also there was a problem in Zwarungu, also in the Upper East region. And so some of the candidates who hail from Boko have chosen to go back to Boko and write the exams. They don't want to write in Zwarungu because they feel safer in Boko than in Zwarungu. So provision has been for them also to go back. They have also been provided accommodation on campus, so they can stay in school and write the examinations without any difficulties. In Nalerugu, we also have been in touch with the officials over there. They indicate the place is safe. They have made enough provision for security. Again, they are ensuring that no candidate is loitering in the course of the examination. And so they believe that the candidates will be able to write over there. The same thing applies to Nkwanta. So in all these areas, we've been in touch with them, and we are in constant touch with our person in the regions so that they give us feedback as to, what the security situation is and then what can be done about it. But for now, we believe that whatever measures have been put in place are going to work for the smooth conduct of the examination. These are early days yet anyway. We hope that things will go well for us as we move on.
This should be hard for the young minds. Writing exams under such security presence, as you make us aware that the security arrangement has been made. I mean, what arrangement has been made in terms of psychological to assist these kids cope with the situation they will be under? Because writing exams, even with that security itself, is a whole ball game altogether. And then coupled with having security all around you just because of the situation.
Yeah, of course, I mean, even if there's just one invigilator in the room there, you know how much tension there can be on you. What has happened, and the information I have is that, yes, we have security around there, but they are not within the school compound. They have cordoned off the entire area. Nobody's allowed to move in or out unless you have, a relation with the examination. So that aside, the Ghana Education Service has made provision for the candidates within this area to receive some kind of counseling psychologically, because obviously you are wondering how even after examination you are going to go home. It's not just the examination, but even the aftermath. So we are told that they've made provision for all the examination candidates around the area to receive some kind of counseling in order that they would be able to have that peace of mind to go about the examinations peacefully.
Will we be marking their exams with some soft touch because of their situation?
Well, it is not for us to decide, but then it's a standard examination that you are. When it comes to assessment, the standards are very, very important. You must have the validity of the examination. That is very, very important. And so when it comes to grading them, we cannot decide that for this particular people, this is how we are going to do it. If they are candidates who have certain medical conditions, we talk about those who are hearing impaired, those who are visually impaired, those who have cerebral palsy and all of that. So those people, we have provisions made for them. An environment is created where it's more like a classroom thing that they are doing. You don't put them in that strict condition of an examination hall. With those who are hearing impaired and visually impaired, they have extra time to do their work, and they have a more relaxed environment just because of their impairment. I almost use the word disability. It is not allowed these days. So that is what we can do for them. But these are, excuse my language, normal candidates. Okay, so that conversation hasn't come up yet. But then again, if you're looking at the validity of an examination, then you have to examine all of them on the same level.
And maybe in our final submissions, post the exams, the markers, is it the item writer or the moderators, or who sets the marking scheme? Is it the subject teacher, or who sets the marking scheme, and then who also selects those who will mark?
All right, so let's start with the marking scheme. The marking scheme is drawn in the course of moderating.
Okay.
All right, so if you, there's something called weighting. I mean, the weight you place on each segment or each part of the question. So section A maybe define a table, all right? So maybe that goes for just 2 marks. Then you come to talk about how the table is made, that will give about 10 marks. And then what is the finishing? What are the finishing bits of it? That also has marks. Now, when the examination is done, there's another panel that sits down to look at the marking scheme. There, because the examination is international in nature, we have an international panel. So we have members from all the member countries, Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Gambia. So they would sit down and look at the marking scheme. Now we have what we call dummies. Dummies are live scripts. Live scripts as in what the candidates have written. So you select from the high-performing areas to the low-performing areas so that you don't have too much of those who are very good. You don't have too much of those who are not too good. You have a mix of them. We have chief examiners who come and select the scripts at random. Okay, so we run copies and then we give them to these experts. So they look at the scripts, look at the questions, and look at the scheme that was prepared at the time that the questions were being moderated.
Okay.
Now, at the moderating stage, there are times when you provide responses. But when the candidates write, you realize that they also provide responses that are relevant. You don't leave those out, otherwise you are going to shortchange those candidates. So what we do is that you look at them, the relevance of those responses they've given, and also to ensure that people have got the things right and not any misconceptions or misunderstanding of the questions. So based on that, they fine-tune the marking scheme. Now, when they are done, they bring it to the other examiners, and they also will look at it. That way, what we call the coordinating meetings. There they will sit down, and also they also have the dummies. They mark them award marks. You have to explain to your team leader why you are awarding a mark for this and why you are awarding a mark for that, just so that they get conversant with the marking scheme. Now, for those who mark, they are people who are actively teaching. We use them because they are the ones who are conversant with what the candidates are likely, to present or to produce in an examination situation. So they are teachers, to put this mildly. They are teachers, most of them in senior high schools and a few of them from the universities.
Okay. Mr. John Kapi, we're grateful to you for passing through this morning.
It's my pleasure.
And all the best to you and those at the council.
Thank you very much.
That has been our, big story, one of our big stories. This is still the AM show. Mr. John Kapi is the head of public affairs with the West African Examination Council. We'll take a quick break. We will return with more, so please. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's now go into another of our big stories, which has to do with the new patriotic party. Now, over the weekend, we heard of the granting of an amnesty, a general amnesty, to all suspended members and all of those who are on, who are being investigated at the disciplinary committees. Now, what does this really mean for the party? We interrogate this particular issue, and joining us here on this particular issue, we have Dr. Arthur Kennedy, who is a physician and a political activist. Doc, good morning to you and thanks for joining us.
Good morning to you and to all your viewers.
Doc, but I want to find out, are you a leading member of the NPP or you were a leading member of the NPP?
I am a member of the NPP.
Oh, you still are a member?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Dr. Osai Kwapong is he's a CDD fellow. He's in charge of the Democracy Project. I hope I got it right. Doc, good morning to you and thanks for joining.
Good morning to you as well.
Okay. And in studio, MF, I'll leave that to you. You said you right now.
We've got to lay our support on joining us as well.
Oh, you leave that introduction way for to do.
Because it's nice to have me do it. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen, both on Zoom and in studio. Nada, I hope you've had a good week.
Yes, it's been a very wonderful week.
How did the news of granting amnesty come to you and your party generally?
Which amnesty?
You must have seen a statement from the NPP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one signed, the one signed by the acting national chairman.
Oh, it's an everyday news. I think that be as it may, they are trying as much as they can to sweep things under the carpet. And of course, I am excited that we have Dr. Atta Kennedy on Zoom. I remember that I had to take my time to read his book, Chasing the Elephant into the Bush. I do not think that the elephant has come back from the bush. You understand me? There were basic and fundamental reasons why individuals left the party. There were persons who were also suspended illegally, unconstitutionally. Persons.
Which are these persons?
There are a lot of them across the length and breadth of the country, in many constituencies. They did not follow due process, constitutional laid down process, and they were suspended. In fact, the likes of Paul Afoko, okay, they are still there. I mean, you ask Dr. Atta Kennedy if he is a member or he was a member or...
Does he still a member of the NPP?
Yes, that is him. Atta Kennedy is a member. Well, that he thinks he is a member, but maybe the party does not even recognize his membership. You see, look at the likes of Nyaho Tamaklo.
Surely you know you're a member because there are ways that you know that you're a member. It's not the party that
it's the party that recognizes you. You can choose to be a member. So
surely you know that.
Yes.
You cannot choose.
So let us not. They are trying as much as they can just to cover stuff, but it's not going to work. When you have gone.
What do you think they are covering?
When you have gone into an election and you have lost this, you've performed abysmal. This was an unprecedented defeat. It has never happened in the tradition of the UP. Okay, and you have still not been able to put yourselves together. You have still not been able to address the issues that were raised by members who left the party. The party has values. The party has a tradition. The party has a constitution. You understand me? And people left because the party's values were trampled upon. People left because the party was squeezed into one small element and put into people's pocket. The people left because they feel that the party has become unconstitutional. The handlers of the party were doing it unconstitutionally. And yet all these matters have not been addressed. And you bring a letter saying that you have granted amnesty. To who? And to whom?
All right.
And even in the letter, I don't know if you can project it. It
says...
there is a paragraph I want, okay, that talks about the caveat, the condition. You grant amnesty with conditions. It's in bad faith. It's in bad faith. If you are granting amnesty, you are granting amnesty.
Okay. Members who have forfeited their membership are required to submit a formal application to the National Secretariat for reinstatement. Upon reinstatement, you shall remain ineligible to contest any internal party election until a mandatory.
If you are granting an amnesty,
is that what you're talking?
To apply.
Is that what you're talking about?
If you are granting an amnesty, you want me to apply for that amnesty. That is number one. Number two, then you put a caveat on me. Tell okay, let me be.
If you left, if you left a party.
No, but
because I like to think that amnesty is
the Constitution says that if you have supported a candidate other than the party's candidate, or you have gone to, form a political party whatsoever, that's what the Constitution says. That then means that you have forfeited your membership. And so if you are granting amnesty to people, you do not come there with caveats.
No, but you need to be fair to them. It says that, to all party members who have been suspended or whose disciplinary cases are currently pending before the appropriate adjudicatory bodies, we hereby serve notice that this directive lifts all such suspensions and waives any ongoing proceedings against affected members. That's one.
That's the amnesty.
That's one, yes. And it says members who have forfeited their membership. You left, you say you are not, so you need to apply again.
And the first one, what did he say?
For those who have been suspended, the party suspended them.
The party suspended them?
Yes, so they say we've lifted those suspensions.
So what is an amnesty? Are we able to give a definition to what an amnesty is?
I can look that up for you.
Yeah, look at that. But I mean, generally, what we do know
is an official pardon for people who have been convicted.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So if I have gone against your constitution, you think I have gone against your constitution, and I have been convicted, and you are granting me amnesty, you do it in absolute.
But that's not for people like you who say, I left on my own volition. He says,
and I am asking
you took that decision, so if you are going to come,
we are not saying we are going back.
No, I'm not.
But the fundamental question we are asking is the reasons why those people left, the reasons why we left, has those issues been addressed?
Okay, I hear.
Fundamentally.
Let's stay there. We'll come back to you. But let me bring in Dr. Alpha Kennedy, who is still a member of the NPP. Doc, once you're a member, what do you make of this narrative from your party?
It is interesting that you need to ask to confirm my membership. That is sort of underlines the problem that the party has. I think that the intent is good, but I think the execution was botched. The intent of granting an amnesty, or more to the point, unity that is needed, is a good thing. I think that unity is indispensable to success of political parties. And that has been demonstrated repeatedly throughout history. The Democratic Party in the US in 1968 lost because they were divided. Republicans lost in 1992 to Clinton et al. Because Ross Perot, who was a Republican, waged a very potent independent candidacy. And even in Ghana, the Dankwa Buzi Adombo tradition lost in 1979 because they were divided. And in actual fact, this 2024 election, we lost partly because we were divided. You know, I know that as a summer doesn't make one swallow doesn't make a summer, and one individual doesn't make a party. But when Alan left, he was symbolizing fundamental problems of the party. And as Boache Jakun recently said, a lot of people had left the party in their hearts. Political parties are places where we should go and seek friendships and build relationships and have joy in the service of our country. I think our party leaders have forgotten the essence of political parties, that is building up the numbers. 20% of John Mohammed's votes came from good old-fashioned NPP members who, of course, didn't resign publicly, so don't need amnesties. They are there. And those votes, we don't own them in 2028. We have to earn them back. And by the way, those 20% of votes will account for 1.2 million votes. If we had all of them, maybe Mahama wouldn't be sitting in Flagstaff House.
But how did you determine that 20%?
Ask Musa Dankwa. He did exit polling.
Okay.
All we have to do is ask him. He did exit polling. And not only that, there were quite a lot more MPP members who just couldn't bring themselves to go to the polls and vote for Mahama. So they stayed home. I am just saying that we have a lot of work to do to earn all those votes back. They heard Nanado's advice. The vote belongs to you. You can do with it whatever you want. So they did what they wanted. As patriotic Ghanaians, we need to reassure them that we heard their message, that we understand our mistakes, that we are more humble. And I think that this amnesty does not address that. And not only that, this amnesty is hypocritical because we are the same party that in 2008 brought somebody who didn't even have a party membership card and made them running mate. By the way, earlier that year, at least 5 people who wanted to run as parliamentary candidates had been disqualified because they had not, quote, developed the party enough. So I think that we owe a lot of people apologies, not just amnesties. Paula Foko, for example, Kwabena Japan, for example. We need the Alan supporter who lost the eye and all those people. We need to apologize to Ghanaians for running the party as if it was a private club that belonged to a few individuals. A party is a public institution and should be run in a way that is attractive to people. We need those 20% of Mahama voters to come home, and not just that, those who stayed home to go and vote, but more importantly, we need some NDC people to look at us and say we are attractive and cross the carpet so we can elect a president and a majority in 2028.
Doc, I'll stay with you. If you look at the statement, it's signed by the acting national chairman. In practice and over the years, would you say that this amnesty would be binding, considering that it's coming from an acting chairman? What does the optic also look like for you?
Oh, in terms of him being acting, if he is acting, he has all the powers inherent in the office, just like the acting Chief Justice, for example, has the powers of the office. So it is not the binding nature of it. I think it is the spirit behind it. I think that it is a grudging amnesty that is calculated to keep people still on the side. If you grant an amnesty to somebody and he's not popular and he wants to go and run for office, let them go and lose. Why do you have to bar them from running for office? That in itself shows that the amnesty is not sincere. And if you had a moment, I will tell you, and through you tell NPP members something late Akenten Appiah Minka told me the first time Alan left in 2008. When I saw him in Kumasi, you know, people like Nanado and others were thumping their chest and say, oh, let him leave. Apino told me a very somber story. He said in 1979, when the party was breaking up between the PFP and the UNC members, he said, I was in the room and people said, in 1969, we won 104 seats. So if 10 people are leaving, these people, they account for only about 10 seats. Let them go. We still win 94. They had forgotten that the 1969 votes were not frozen in place. So they went on and lost 1979. Apino said, I think in retrospect, that if we had tried a little harder, we could have kept those people with us. And if we had kept them with us, maybe we would have been in government in 1979. And he added something very deep. He said, maybe by our selfishness and narrow-mindedness, we lost power to the untested Liman and we doomed the country by risking its security unnecessarily. That was Akenten Appiah Minka.
Right, maybe we go to Dr. Osei-Kwapong.
Interesting.
Yeah?
Yes, but before we go there,
Okay.
Doc, you say that the party should apologize publicly. I mean, how can the party do that? Because they know the members who have been offended. Why not call them into a conclave or something like that and do it?
Because as they say in Twi, baby, I watch
show.
So the same way you suspended them publicly and humiliated them, that's the same place where you should go and make peace with them. So the apologies are important, and the apologies should not only be to people like Afolku, it should be to the people of Ghana for our boneheaded policies, for being members who foisted upon Ghana a government that sank $100 million into the ground for a hole, while the Krofrom market was uncompleted and our children were sitting under trees learning. We should apologize for stuff like that.
Doc, I have a question on the apology, maybe before we go to Dr. Kwapong. If a political party grants amnesty, would it mean that whatever crime for which you were suspended or for other reasons, it's not true?
Well, it would not necessarily mean that it's not true. It can even mean that the crimes are true, but the party has decided that the exigencies of the moment matter more than your previous crimes. And by the way, in the US, you know, somebody like Bernie Sanders, who isn't even a Democrat, can run in the Democratic primary. I think parties must be inclusive. And I think that is part of our problem in Africa, that too many people seem to think of parties as private clubs owned by some individuals. To the extent that we need to shift the balance, I think political parties must have the power to deal with powerful people. Like, for example, the ANC recalling Mbeki because they were unhappy with his presidency. That would be the day. And by the way, I was present when Chairman Kwabneji and what did they call it? McMenu.
Yeah.
Had a very deep conversation about how they could do that in Ghana. I thought that was a great initiative.
But okay, if it is true, why should they then apologize? If it is true that that does not mean that what they did is right, why should the party apologize? Just by giving...
They should apologize for the harshness of expelling them.
Okay.
I am just saying that a party that could pick someone who didn't even have a party card, give him a party card at night and make him running mate, has no beef disciplining anybody.
Okay. Let's bring in Dr. Osei Kwapon here. Doc, so some people have said this particular action by the party will bolster people to be indisciplined in the party. What's your view of this action by the party?
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm not sure Amnesty provides an incentive for people to be indisciplined. As Dr. Arthur Kennedy said, probably the party has sat down and realized that based upon the exigencies of the time and whatever it is that they are confronting, you would notice that one of the things that the party has been regularly harping since their 2024 defeat is party unity. It takes a lot more than just Amnesty to forge party unity and reposition for the next election. But I'm sure in their calculus, these are some of the steps that they can take to forge party unity, and therefore the reason why they are offering this amnesty. So I'm not sure this should be seen as, or others should interpret this as, I can do anything in the party, engage in quote unquote acts of indiscipline, because at some point the party, because they prize unity over everything else, would grant me an amnesty. I hope that doesn't become the unintended consequence of this.
And you say it takes more than the amnesty. What else do you, from where you sit, expect the party to do if it wants to forge that unity ahead of 2028?
One of the things that I have regularly said is that there comes a point where the party has to collectively own the 2024 defeat. I've had conversations with some NPP friends who would say, well, we know why we lost and we know the people who caused our defeat. And there's some element of truth in that. But for how long are you going to litigate that narrative? Because then the more you keep pointing out it's person A or it's person B, I think it drags the process of finding a way to collectively move beyond what happened in 2024 and reposition yourself for 2028. So that for me is one of the things that I think the party should do. And then they also have to reflect on what public sentiment was like with regards to the party, how it governed, some of the pinch points that it created for Ghanaians, and how they make amends and reconcile with the Ghanaian people, and even with some of their own voters. I mean, if you think of Musa Dankwa's exit polls, that shows even for their own party members, those who decided to stay away from the polls, that for me, there's a lot more that needs to be done to reposition the party if they want to be able to regain power in the next election.
What do you make of the timing of this amnesty granting? What do you make of the timing?
I think if you also put it within the context of how soon the party wants to have the presidential primaries, I have this feeling that there are a lot of things that the party wants to quickly get behind them, and then do other forms of reconciliation as they move towards 2028. And so I suspect that this is all part of the process of, let's try and put some things behind us. And therefore, if amnesty is what we also have to grant at this material moment, let's do that and put all of the pieces together.
Okay. Doc, but let's look at the person who signed this particular letter. The acting national chairman of the party, Mr. Dankwa Smith Bute, who, according to sources within the party, is, favors the Kennedy camp the more. Recently at their Congress, the party also passed resolutions to say every past executive will then be, a voter in the presidential primary, if my memory is right. I mean, isn't that then a bullet to favor that camp to say, well, we're giving amnesty to all of these, past executives who did it? Is the person who favors Canada, Japan, and therefore only near to Canada, Japan? Wouldn't that be, a smarter way for him to have done it?
Except that you also cannot guarantee who these former past party executives are going to vote for. I mean, if you're 100% sure that he being the acting chairman is doing this because he's 100% sure that the affected persons are going to vote for a particular candidate, then you can begin to read meaning into why he's taking this step. But since there's no guarantee of if they return to the party who they are going to support, I think it will be very difficult then to say that there's another motive beyond this idea of party unity that is driving the acting national chairman. I also believe that this was not a decision that he unilaterally took. I believe it's a decision that was taken in consultation with the other.
He says that in the letter anyway, that it was after meeting that they took that decision. Yeah.
Nanayao, do you envisage some members who forfeited their membership to return?
Including himself?
Not at this point.
But you think there's a time that members...
Not at this point. Not when the issues that they complained about, the reasons that led to them walking out, are still not been addressed. Okay? Even before the apology, the party should be able to accept the wrongdoings. That, listen, we did wrong, all right? We put in policies that got Ghanaians angry. We exhibited certain behaviors that did not sit down well with our own members. We exhibited certain characteristics and certain things that frowned on our own values as a political party.
Be able to cite an example, just one. Not the one for Ghanaians.
We had complained about the arrogance of power. All right? More than 9 of the persons who were going to contest had issues that they actually petitioned the party on. How the whole electoral process was ongoing. Dr. Kennedy gave an example. Zach, who was Alan's agent in the Northeast region, he was beaten. His eyes came out. Have you heard the party even address that issue? We have values. We said that we were...
Beating. Why not just... Isn't it criminal? Why don't you just proceed to what can convict you of a beating? Why would...
Of course, we took processes. He's a member of the party. Of course, we took the matter to the police. They handled it the way they wanted to handle it. But the point is, it was an internal matter.
Okay.
All right? And sometimes you are not able to escalate certain matters. But the point was that, is it only Alan Tremantin who had complained about what was ongoing? What wrong do you think that Paul Afoko did to the party that he was suspended? Japan, today, he says he wants to contest again as flag bearer.
Flag bearer, yes.
He was accused of having accepted certain goodies from the then NDC. Am I right? That the wife also took some scholarship and other things, issues of corruption and all of that. They never addressed the matter. He was called back to the party.
But isn't that a true party person?
Okay, so it means he's corrupt. So it means he's corrupt.
No, nobody has proved that. Has anybody proved?
And nobody else has also objection sanity. I mean, let's be real. Let's deal with the matter head on. What he was accused of, did he do it? What was the basis of calling him back? What would be the base? So you think that party members would just run to the party because this letter has been issued by the first vice, the acting chairman?
You never know. Let's wait.
No, I mean, if it would happen, it would have happened. You see, until the issues are addressed, until the issues are addressed, it will be difficult for the NPP to be able to say that indeed it is still a political party. Okay. As we said, and as we discuss this, I personally see the NPP as a party that has gone haywire.
Okay, all right.
Acting very unconstitutional. I mean, if you are granting an amnesty, and I've stated it before, if you are granting an amnesty, you don't do that with the caveat.
Well, you are an opposition party to the NPP, so I'm sure that, you know, there is a tangent you go, or you disagree?
Surprisingly,
all right.
It will surprise you to know that some of those persons who are handling some of the issues in NPP today do not even know how the NPP was formed.
Okay, thank you.
They do not even understand the values of the party.
Okay, I'm grateful.
And so if we would want to, just to conclude, if they would want to do it properly, it shouldn't be this hypocritical.
Okay, all right. Dr. Arthur Kennedy, what do you expect from your party now that you've laid this foundation about they need to own up to, you know, a lot of things that happen, they need to apologize? What do you expect from your party from today?
Actually, before I say that, let me defend Acting Chairman Dankwa Smith a little bit,
okay.
Bute as we all call him. I think that he's a conciliator. He doesn't like confrontation. And I think that he's one of the moderates who is trying to get the right things done. I think, though, that Mr. Sapon states, there are more deeper issues. For example, this running to pick a flag bearer that most people think was done to favor one particular candidate, broadening the franchise beyond the former party executives. I think that fundamentally what would really resonate on the ground is reforms that will let every card-bearing member of the party be able to vote. Those things will be very popular. And the other thing is also this blatant monetization must stop. You know, things like setting arbitrary high registration fees for flag bearer aspirants plus development fees. Those things have very bad resonance on the streets. And the irony is that regardless of taking all these amounts of money from them, you have to raise significant amounts of money during campaigning. So in effect, you're shooting yourself in the foot when you do things like that.
Grateful to you, Dr. Arthur Kennedy. Dr. Osai Kapong, before we let you go, your concluding remarks.
So again, the other part though of the communication from the party that has to do with you know, reapplying and then also being barred from running for any internal party election for another 2 years. I just hope that that doesn't create a disincentive for those who would otherwise be eager to embrace this offer of amnesty. It just seems that it's some sort of a conditional amnesty, and I'm not sure why those two additional administrative directives have been made part of this offer of amnesty.
Okay. Dr. Grateful to you. Dr. Osai Kaponde is a CDD fellow joining us. Also, Dr. Arthur Kennedy is a member of the NPP and a physician. He joined us as well. And in studio, we have Nanaya, who is now a member of the Movement for Change.
He's always been.
Oh, no, I'm saying that, but he used to be an NPP member, isn't
it?
Oh,
that ship long sailed, did it not?
But he used to be, we are talking about NPP, so he used to be a member, but now a member of the Movement for Change. Oh, you are discarding that one, a former member of the NPP.
So as it stands.
Oh my God. Please stay with us a small.
With each passing day, commuters and drivers are paying the price for government's inaction. Welcome to the Pokwase Interwam stretch, where driving is a nightmare for drivers and commuters, and where every bump feels like a gamble with your vehicle's safety. This stretch has been under construction for years, yet today, the contractor is nowhere in sight. The result? An obstacle course of potholes, forcing drivers to crawl bumper to bumper, twisting and turning just to stay on four wheels. On our visit, more than 20 vehicles were seen broken down in the middle of the road. Here lies another broken down car, and another, and another. Vehicles, both big, long, medium, or whatever size it is, at some point in their journey to Kumasi, have to at least run through this muddy water. A very difficult situation for many of them because they don't know what exactly under the surface of that water looks like. You may as well just call it the muddy pool of death, because I've counted not one, not two, but more than 3 vehicles in this section alone that are broken down. They haven't moved an inch in hours. The difficulty is that no help can come to you at this particular point in the middle of a muddy pool.
All right, this is still the AM show. Let's do the concluding part by bringing in and, speaking to someone who knows a lot more about what's happening on the Pokwasi Road. He is the chairman of the Road and Transportation Committee of Parliament and the member of Parliament for Wassa East. I call him the Wassa East Mugabe because when the constituency was, taking out of the Mpaho Wassa East, he was the MP and he's been the MP. So today, Honourable Isaac Keje Mensah, good morning.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming.
Been a while, right?
Yeah. Anyway, you saw there in that video the challenges that Ghanaians are going through every day. Why is the road this way and we're not seeing any action on the road to bring relief to the people who travel on this road?
Thank you so very much, and thank you also for giving me the opportunity to come to your studio once again and to talk about the same issue on roads. It's regrettable. It's something that you cannot defend. It's unacceptable because of the excruciating pain, for commuters going to Kumasi and that stretch. So that is regretted. I think that there were issues relating to some honoring of IPCs, that were sent to the ministry by the contractors. By the contractor. And the road is being done by one of the best contractors, Barapoma. Okay. Barapoma is, reputed to be one of the best in the sub-region. And so if he's on such projects, you have no doubt that he'll perform. And so the whole issue was about the honoring of IPCs. And when contractors...
So IPCs are the interim, performance certificate?
Yes,
okay.
So it's about money.
Okay.
And my understanding is that the ministry has had some arrangement and engagement with him to go back to site. We inherited this project. And there were issues relating to some payments. And given the situation, the government at the time wasn't able to honor all of them. And so we inherited it, and we just have to accept it and move on. Because of the relationship that the ministry has had with the contractor, some minor jobs were being carried on. I remember about 3 months ago, the committee had a visit to the project, and we saw some work going on. But again, the areas that needs to be worked on is where now it's been giving much problems. During this time, during the rainy seasons, you realize that roads get worse, especially in areas that had not been attended to. And so it is also not too smart thing to do when, especially the road is still, on traffic, to work on them.
But the road was left even before the season.
Yes, it was being attended to, but gradually.
Really?
It's been worse. Yes, when.
What was happening on the road? Because people say the contractor packed out. There was no work.
Yes, exactly.
Happening on the road.
But there were some minor, interventions, on the stretch. But the critical situation is where we see it now. But the goodness of it is that the contractor is back to site, and he's ready to make things done.
When was that? Because
I think for the past 3 days. The minister has come out, and if you check on the Ghana web, there's been some publication of a sort.
That the minister is back on
No,
on
I'm
site?
talking about the minister talked about the fact that some financial arrangement has been made to fix the contractor, and so the contractor is back on site. Adom TV, I was just in Adom TV this morning, and they've confirmed that yes, the contractor is on site. But the challenge is that because it's a bigger and a longer stretch, and the fact that the road cannot be closed, it has to be done in a manner that can still allow traffic and moving forward. There probably could have been a detour, but you see, because of the huge traffic on that stretch, you can't provide any detour, any bypass. That is also going to be another challenge. So what we can do is just to allow this thing to go. It's a painful exercise now, but we bear with commuters, we bear with Ghanaians. And now that the contractor, the difference between the contractor or the challenges there has been more or less resolved, the hope is that it will be better.
So what you're saying, I see it on the Ghana web now. It says work has finally resumed on the long abandoned Pokwasi home stretch of the Accra-Kumasi Highway, bringing relief to commuters. It says construction crew officially returned to site over the weekend and have since been working daily to recover lost time. The Minister of Roads and Highways, Kwame Govins-Agboja, confirmed this in an interview with Accra-based Class 91.3 FM. Yeah. Those of you who are living on that road, please, let's see pictures of whether you've seen any work on that particular stretch. We'll be happy to have that particular confirmation, because as we sit here, it will be difficult to confirm that. But,
exactly. I don't want to disprove or think that the minister is not giving us the right information. It is. But you see, road construction is said that it calls for a longer time for mobilization. Okay. So mobilizing resources to such a road will take some time. And in terms of seeing physical action, but you could see that because they never vacated the project entirely, going back is not a big deal. It's a longer stretch, and it is not only that stretch that the contractor was working on. So now that the agreement has been reached to go back to site, I think that in the next couple of days, we can see or we see some improvement on that stretch.
But with such a critical road, linking the capital, Accra, to one of the economic capitals of Ghana, Kumasi, why did government allow it to lie fallow with no work being done from January or December till now?
No, actually,
you mentioned IPCs, yes, but I mean, once you know it's a critical road, why didn't government do anything so that the construction could have continued, just so we wouldn't have been, because you've been there before. Once it is like this, it will increase the cost, won't it?
Exactly. See, I am not in a position to talk in much detail for the executive. I'm in Parliament as a chairman of a committee, but I'm always in contact with them, and I know that they are always taking the right decision. We inherited this project. We inherited it from the previous government, and so there's some money to be sorted out.
Yeah, we
and
get
so
that
is said. And so that does not mean that the contractor will have to evacuate site. But I know that he never evacuated entirely, because we visited the site and we had opportunity to go around.
Okay.
Well, for the committee in Parliament on which you chair, did you not inherit any report at all? Because at least you're telling us that the challenge that you first faced was IPC. Did you not have any reports that indicate that, well, there weren't enough funds, budgeted cost? Didn't the government anticipate that up until this time we're going to need this amount for us to leave it fallow, as Brace is saying?
My understanding is that when we visited the site, there were some work ongoing.
Right.
The stretch has not been evacuated. We talked about the fact that work had slowed down on that stretch. And so the expectation was that the contractor was going to go back, but still the ministry was sorting out those financial differences. And so I want to say with authority that road was not evacuated by the contractor. Okay. Except that stretch, the speed and the enormity or the force with which they can get it sorted out wasn't forthcoming because of the fact that some IPCs will have to be sorted out. But I'm happy that that situation is sorted out and the contractor has gone to site. The minister has taken the whole issue to himself and is going to make sure that it doesn't happen again. The most important is that when we are able to achieve some relative progress, we don't have to allow it to deteriorate again.
How much progress do you anticipate? would achieve? How much progress?
I am not in the position to give the details because I'm not in the executive. This is a situation where the executive, the ministry can tell you. But for us, as committee in Parliament, we've always been getting reports. We've had calls to visit the road. Some of our colleagues travel to Kumasi, and the report that has been coming in is unacceptable. And that's why I said that I'm not here to defend the situation. It's unfortunate, it's regretted, but the goodness of it is that the minister has been able to swiftly have had an arrangement with the contractor to go back to site. And now evidence show that they are on site. And we hope that there wouldn't be any challenge again, that will bring us in this bad state. But the understanding is that during this time, during this period, rainy season, road construction is very, very difficult. Okay. Because while you can get things done day and night, you probably cannot be able to do that. But my consolation is that the issue between the ministry and the contractor, as said by the minister, is sorted out. I once also said that in Adum, that this is one of the best contractors. Okay. But Roma is one of the best contractors in the sub-region. Okay. And so I have no doubt at all that now that these issues are sorted out, you will not go back to site.
Okay. We are grateful to you. Honorable Isaac J. Mensah, I was going to add the concept for coming. Exactly. He is the chairman of the Roads and Transportation Committee of Parliament. Thank you so much for coming.
So I just wanted to also to say, because I probably should have, thanked you before I started. You did. Also let my people know that I'm here.
Yeah,
but the goodness of it is that I wanted to thank Ghanaians on my own behalf and commend the president for his diligence and professionalism, the leadership that he provided during the crash, during the challenge that we have. And he demonstrated to Ghanaians how we are together. And it was not part in a political situation here. In Parliament, minority and majority were together, and we did everything in the visitations and so on. And we realized that the government also setting this children's fund, which is for me, it's a trust fund that is going to take care of the future, the education, everything. So let's get this bond, this thing together. But it's all about illegal mining.
All right.
And you got to fix it.
Okay, so
Thank
you got
so
to fix
very
it.
much.
All right. For someone whose constituency has a lot of illegal mining, he says he's going to fix it. We'll be keeping an eye on you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
It was good.
And thank you too for watching.